Now you can hear me, yes? Could you hear me this whole time? This is suspicious. Anyway, mic's on now. So, hello everybody. Welcome to the stream. I was just saying I almost pushed the end stream button instead of the swap screen so you can see me moving around and talking button. That would have probably been embarrassing. Good thing it didn't happen. Good thing nobody knows it would have ever had a chance of happening. Anyway, hello everybody. Hope you're having a good time. Chris Nikomata and Mikale Mastra. Hello to both of you. Welcome to the stream. Hope you guys are ready for the continuation of the bedtime stories. I was muted. Okay, good. I mean, bad because I thought I wasn't muted, but I was. But good that you guys didn't hear me babbling to myself while I was getting the stream ready. Haha. Yeah. Anyway, how are you guys doing on this pleasant Thursday? That is a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. I always am at a loss for words when people ask me like, oh, how are you? I'm like, how am I? I am alive, I suppose. I am not meowing. No, not quite. Well, Jesse OJ, hello. Welcome on in. Hope you're having a lovely time. Chillin' works. I'm gonna have to remember that. Thank you. Alright, so today is the bedtime story day. Y'all know what that means if you've been here before, which it looks like everybody here has. I'm still gonna give a recap, just in case. I name as one. Hello. Welcome on in. But hey, you're able to make it. That's exciting. Makes me happy for sure. You're sleepy? Alright, well, hopefully, okay. When I started doing these at first, I was tagging them as ASMR, and they're not really ASMR at all. I don't, I'm not calm enough for ASMR streams. I just can't do it. I just want to start screaming and flailing and jumping up and down and stuff. I can't do the super calm and collected I can't do it. My brain goes, no, gotta pedal to the metal, full speed ahead. And it's just, yeah. So I stopped tagging them ASMR. So, hey, hopefully it could be a bedtime story, despite the fact. Popcorn. Oh, yes, popcorn. Yes, for the recap. If you've already been here, you know the characters. Who needs to listen to me babble about that? Get your popcorn. Hype? Well, yeah, I do like the hype. Build the hype. Constant hype. They're constant hype. Nobody gets to rest. All energy, no downtime. You can scream while capturing more Eidolons in Warframe. I do need to do more Eidolon hunts. I have not done an Eidolon hunt for a long time. Like, a really long time. Okay, that's not true. I did one off stream. And it doesn't count because it was just a tri-cap. It wasn't a buy 3. I mean, okay, it was just a hydro cap. It was just a single hydro cap, so it doesn't count as Eidolons. A screaming and flailing ASMR is probably the only one you'd enjoy. Those exist. If you search hard enough, probably. I don't know from personal experience. I know from meme screenshots that people post and send in Discord meme channels for some reason. Just like to clarify that. Anyway, you don't know the story. You don't know why you're here. Oh, okay, well, what a brilliant segue. Let's do a little bit of a recap on the story. So, we are reading Seas Who Could Sing So Deep and Strong, which is book 5 of I'd Rather Fall Among the Stars, written by heartslogos. You can find the link to the story in the description. It is posted on Archive of Our Own, and the author has locked the story behind a account. So if you do not have an Archive of Our Own account, you won't be able to read it. So books 1 through 4 are really short. They're about like an average of 3 chapters each, and you know, they're just normal stories. How could you call this story normal? It's spectacular. But they're what you would think of when you think of stories. This story is an episodic slice of life. Each chapter is separate and distinct plot-wise. There's no overarching plot that connects them all. The plot of this book is character arcs and character development and character interactions. Like, that's pretty much what this book 5, it's just a compilation of slice of life interactions as the characters grow and blossom and bounce off of each other and interact with each other, and it's absolutely beautiful. And yeah, that, again, I say this every single stream because it's true. That way, it helps out on my end, because if somebody wants to join, listen for a chapter, and then leave, they won't be confused. Everything they need to know is just contained within the chapter, assuming you know a little bit about Warframe. But again, if you guys have any questions at all about anything that's happening, feel free to ask me and I will explain. Like, what is a Kavat? What is a Cephalon? You know, stuff like that. Because they are, the story is written assuming that you do know a little bit about Warframe and its lore. Yeah. Chris and I are having a collab on Saturday for Halo Combat Evolved. We're going to be doing the second half of the story mission on that. So go ahead and put that on your schedule for Saturday. It's going to be fun, I hope. Yes, all the carnage. Alright, so you still don't know what an Eidolon is. An Eidolon, you can't access... Okay, you can access the Eidolon fights, but you cannot progress in them until after you complete the War Within quest in Warframe. Eidolons, there's actually a backstory behind the Eidolons. So on the plains of Eidolon, there are these glass fish that are hidden throughout the place, kind of like Curia on the normal tiles. And if you scan all the glass fish and you open them in your codex, similar to the way how... Oh, hey, in case you didn't know, Chris, if your Cephalon fragments that you've been scanning, those big blue balls, each one will put a lore... What is it? It'll put a lore thing into your codex. Each one has a lore entry. And if you unlock the full lore entry and you hold your mouse on the screen, there's a specific part of each picture that unlocks that it will play an audio clip if you hold your mouse over it. So like you'll move your mouse around and you'll hear like static in the background. And so you play a game of warmer, colder, and like you move your mouse to where the static is loudest and it will play lore clips. So the Cephalon fragments will play the lore of Ortis, and the glass fish that you scan on the plains of Eidolon will give you the lore of Gara and the Eidolon, the first Eidolon, the original Eidolon. If you don't have the patience to do this yourself, what's his name? Annoying Killa on YouTube. That's Killa with an AH at the end. Annoying Killa has very nice compilations where he takes all of the lore audio clips and he strings them together in one video for easy consumption. I would recommend it if you don't have the patience for it. But yes, an Eidolon is a sentient. It is a very, very big sentient, similar to... You know how when we did Railjack and we went on that big giant ship and there were a bunch of sentients inside and I was saying this whole ship is one big sentient? It's like that. It was a really, really big sentient that was really big. And it was trying to break into the city of Cetus that was being protected by the Unum, who is... It's really unclear if she is the tower or if she's fused to the tower or if she's transferenced in the tower. Like, I don't know where the tower ends and the Unum begins, but like pretty much the Unum is this Orican tower that is protecting the city of Cetus. So the Eidolon was trying to break into the city of Cetus, and Gara, the Warframe, the original Gara, I think, she destroyed it. She soloed it, basically, and blew it up. And the Eidolon was scattered into a ton of fragments, which I don't know if I assume the Vombalists are smaller fragments of it. But basically, it splits into 3 fragments: the Terralist, the Hydralist, and the Gauntlist. Or Terralist, Gauntlist, and Hydralist. And every night, those three beings wander the plains of Eidolon in search of their other missing fragments. They are fragments of a creature. They're basically, they're not really intelligent anymore. They're just animalistic now. And their only like driving focus is to try to find the rest of themselves and to find the missing pieces of themselves. So like if the Hydralist and the Gauntless ever met, they would like combine probably into a larger Eidolon. But luckily they have not met. So they're just constantly doomed to wander the plains of Eidolon at night, searching for their missing halves. But yeah, that's what an Eidolon is, basically. Long-winded, roundabout way of saying it, but there you go. They're giants who guard the plains, but they want you dead. I mean, I don't think they don't guard it. Yeah, they definitely don't guard it. They were, when the Eidolon was a single entity, it definitely did not have the best interests of the plains at heart. And then now that it is no longer intelligent, it's basically just, you don't hurt it, it won't hurt you. It's just kind of wandering around looking. It's a lonely cryptid making its way down the moonlit path. There you go. So we, of course, gang up on it and kick it into the ground because it has good loot. We gotta get the fragments and keep it away from them? Yes, you gotta keep them separate. Alright, anyway, enough about Eidolons. We need to actually start with the story. So, when we left off at chapter... Let me rearrange my screens. Put this up here. We left off at chapter 148 of Cease Who Could Sing So Deep and Strong. Yeah. That is where we're gonna be. Yeah. Alright, we are going to start the chapter then. Oh, wait, no. I can't start the chapter yet. We have my normal background music in the background. We can't have that. I need to have some relaxing bedtime story ASMR-esque. Or ASMR-y. ASMR. Background music. What kind of music are you guys feeling today? I usually have some sort of nature thing. Dun, 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 dun. Ocean sounds? I don't think I've had ocean sounds yet. I think that's a good idea. That is a good idea. I've had rain, I've had fire, I've had plants and birds. I have not had ocean. Water, earth, fire, air, right? Next we're gonna have the wind, right? Alright. Sea sounds. Alright, let's see what this sounds like. Does this sound cool? Oh wait, no, this one's not the copyright-free one. This one's the copyright-free one. Alright, how's it sound? Pretty good. Pretty good, I'd say. Okay, is that loud or soft? It looks like it's kind of loud. I'm gonna just turn it down just a little bit. Oh, wow, it loops after 20 seconds. That's gonna drive me mad. Hold up. Let me see if it loops again. Sounds good on your end? Alright. Alright, cool. It was just glitched out. It wasn't actually a loop. Nice. Alright. You gotta use the restroom. Oh, well. Sorry to hear that. I'm starting the book. Some Zen music in case the ocean sound starts to drive you crazy. Nah, the ocean sound won't drive me crazy. I listen to... Yeah, I think I'll be fine. But thank you for the suggestion. Next stream we can have some Zen music. Alright. Chapter 148. It's been a while since punks had this much fun in the conclave. It's been busy with Fortuna, working on his K-Drive, doing stuff for Nightwave. He hasn't really had time to do his tournament stuff. Void, the adrenaline is so good. It doesn't get like this during missions or fissures or whatever. Punk bumps his fists against Whiskies as they jog into the ring for their next 2-on-2 match. The crowd screaming and roaring and the thumping of people stomping their feet's already making his blood pound. Okay, Whiskey's got a voice. Hold up. What's Whiskey's voice gonna be? Whiskey sounds like a country voice, but we already have a country boy. Whiskey. Russian! She could be Russian. How about that? Haha! Yes! I guess vodka would be more of a Russian name, but there we go. Let's start over. I'm gonna start the whole chapter over. Chapter 148. It's been a while since Punk's had this much fun in the Conclave. It's been busy with Fortuna, working on his K-Drive, doing stuff for Nightwave. He hasn't really had time to do his tournament stuff. Void, the adrenaline is so good. It doesn't get like this during missions or fissures or whatever. Punk bumps his fists against Whiskies as they jog into the ring for their next 2-on-2 match. The crowd screaming and roaring and the thumping of people stomping their feet's already making his blood pound.
Head in the game, Kuva Breath,
Whiskey says, her rhino's fist bumping against his Chroma's shoulder.
Focus. I am,
Punk says, lightly bouncing from foot to foot. The announcer calls out Whiskey's name and she runs onto the stage, jumping and flipping before hitting the stage with a heavy boom, before pumping her fists in the air. The crowd goes wild. The crowd loves Whiskey. There's no one who can work a crowd like her. And then, as the cheering fades a little, the announcer calls Punk's name, and he releases a huge column of blue flame before dashing up next to Whiskey, smoke trailing out behind him. They fist bump again.
Good,
Whiskey says.
Wonder who our opponents are going to be.
Yeah, Punk says.
Hey, Sheik, who's on the list for...
Punk turns to their team manager's corner, and he only sees Draconis' Banshee, arms crossed, and the bright trails of her Banshee's head moving as she looks around.
Sheik, where are you, babe?
Her line is disconnected. Who? The announcer. Who would be the Conclave announcer? That's probably Teshin, right? Would it be a Cephalon? No, I'll just make it Teshin.
And we have our opponents,
the announcer says, as Whiskey whacks him on the back for... Wow.
And we have our opponents,
the announcer says, as Whiskey whacks him on the back, hissing, focus.
New to the tournament circuit, but long awake, the bringer of spring, Persephone.
Pug turns around, stomach doing something weird and heart going crazy for reasons that aren't adrenaline, as he sees rising up from the opposite entryway onto the stage, Percy. Percy in her Saren! He hasn't seen her in her Saren for ages, but he'd know that specific Saren anywhere. He met her in that Saren. Red, white, black, gold, katana.
Percy!
Punk hisses, sending about a dozen private line requests that get opened instantly.
Punk. Percy, what are you doing here?
Punk asks, a high-pitched whining building in the back of his head that spells trouble.
This is Conclave PvP!
Persephone versus Punk? I'm aware.
You hate PvP. You hate Conclave.
Sure, he had fun with her in the casual circuit that one time she came in by accident, but she didn't, and he was pretty sure he'd never see her again. And this is professional circuit. Oh, Punk, Percy says sweetly, dangerously, as the announcer continues to pump Percy up to the audience. Haven't you checked the Nightwave frequency? Punk's stomach drops out of his body entirely as he smacks Whiskey's arm.
How long have we been here? What's the Nightwave? Void, participate in a team match, Whiskey says. Punk, is that the Persephone? The one you are always talking about? The one everyone is always talking about?
Punk's mind is in a spiral of terror, like a Kubro chasing its own stubby tail.
Percy, Punk pleads weakly. I do this for a living. Don't do this to me, Percy. You're going to tank my ratings. Percy, please.
Yeah, keep begging. What? Draconis says softly, tapping their line. The heck is going on? Why are you fighting against the Persephone? As in Persephone and Hades Persephone? As in one half of the duo who killed a Grineer queen?
Well, I'm out. I didn't sign up to fight against one of the original Sarens. Bye. Let me know how this goes later.
Whiskey turns around and Punk grabs her rhino by the Syandana.
Don't leave me. Wait. Percy, how'd you even get in here? You need a sponsorship for the professional circuit.
Percy slides her hand through the white tendrils that make up Saren's hair, and even from this far away, Punk can see it. On her bicep is a fluorescent pink lip print.
Oh, Void! Void! Void, she stole your girl!
Whiskey gasps. Punk's eyes move from Sheik's sponsorship mark, the same one he has on his Chroma's inner thigh, to the stands directly behind Persephone. And there's Sheik, sitting on Percy's side, next to Hades's Inaros. She waves.
Oh my goodness, Punk whimpers. She stole my sponsorship and my girl!
Hope isn't quite lost yet. Hope isn't quite yet lost, Draconis says. It's a team match, and Persephone is a notorious solo player with few exceptions. Most of them we can see right now. There's a chance that her partner is just some random tenno she grabbed before coming here. You might still survive.
And for our final contestant for this match, my friends, you know her. She needs no announcement. Also new to the professional circuit, but renowned throughout the galaxy as the ultimate champion. You've heard the stories, you've heard the tales, you've heard the legends. Some lucky few have seen the carnage, the grace, the efficiency, the power, and the prestige in person. Some luckier few have lived to talk about it. You know her in whispers. You know her in song. You know her in dreams and in waking and in nightmares. The one, the only, the Empress.
The sound the audience makes cannot be described, nor can it be heard over the ringing in Punk's ears as he feels his will leave him. Punk's knees give out, and Whiskey barely catches him from collapsing as a second Saren strides up to join Persephone on the stage. Another very familiar Saren. Also red, also white, also black and gold, but in a different configuration, bearing dual blades. The Sarens stand shoulder to shoulder, hands idle on the hilts of their weapons.
Oh, Void, Punk, you complete idiot!
Whiskey swears.
Did you piss them off? What the heck did you do this time that got them so mad they came for your blood in front of an audience?
Empress's Saren puts a hand on her hip, and Punk can see the same fluorescent pink lip mark just to the side of Saren's ribs. Is that the alpha in the stands? Draconis says. Well, that's fine, I guess. I'll start looking for a new partner.
Oh no, Whiskey says. I'm not part of this. I quit. I'm out. Forget this garbage. It's a team match, Punk says weakly. Don't leave me. Punk, Jude, whether I leave you or not, it doesn't matter, because your life left you the second that first Sarens entered the ring. Now me, on the other hand, I have a chance at clemency if I run now. Oh boy, did they just close the ring? And for this round, upon special request from our sponsors,
the announcer continues, happy, ignorant of the pain and terror and suffering he's just trapped Punk into.
This match will be a closed, no holds barred, all abilities allowed match with no tap outs. Are our contestants ready? I can't believe you got me murdered in front of an audience like this,
Whiskey says. I can't believe you got my partner murdered in front of me like this, Draconis says.
I can't believe I get...
Oh, whoops, wrong person. I can't believe I get to destroy you in front of an audience like this, Percy says.
I can't believe you thought you'd be able to stand up to me by doing conclave matches like this,
the Empress says, reminding Punk that he'd been giving his word that he'd come with her for some sorties today. Because he didn't realize he'd been doing conclave for almost 24 hours straight.
Oh, I'm so dead,
Punk whispers. And I did not have my audio thing queued up. That's the end of the chapter, everybody. Let me get the audio queued up. Hold up. Oh, Paris, hello.
Yes, you are dead. Not a big surprise.
Hello. We are reading the Warframe story again. Because, yes, Warframe. I'm just looking for my little soundbite that I usually play at the end of every chapter, because I forgot to queue it up because my brain hath left me. Here it is. Oh, it's really tough. Let's do that again. You thought it was the other conclave? The other conclave? No, this is the Warframe conclave. What's the other conclave? I thought you were making a TF2 reference because I was doing a Russian accent. Like, heavy weapons guy? I guess that's not the case. I don't know what the other conclave is, though. Or maybe I do and I just forgot. Oh, okay, I get you. Wow. I can't believe you would do this to me. I knew what you meant the whole time. Yes. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the next chapter before I could make an even bigger fool of myself. Please and thank you. Chapter 149. Corey hears the clatter of the vent falling below her, and not even a breath later, Corey herself is in the room. Nidus's muscles tense and flex as she lands in a crouch, lurching forward onto Nidus's fingertips as she feels the phantom promise of his dormant power echoing through her. Her djinn detaches from her back, where it was riding on with her, and floats around, inspecting the rune as it serenely undulates through the air. Corey slowly stands up. No cameras here, and she doesn't hear the sound of anyone close by, and stretches. She pulls Nidus's shoulders back, slowly opening and closing his clawed fingers. It feels like forever since she's been in transference with Nidus, though she's been in the frame for about 3 days, working on getting him back to full strength. Installing a forma on a frame is always so taxing. It hurt having her main frame out of commission for a while. But now she has him back and he's better than ever before. If she's being honest with herself, she's going to need to do this at least once more if she really wants to bring out the best in him. But right now, all she wants is to feel the power of his mutations building and flowing out of her. All right, Corey whispers to herself, and Nidus as she walks towards one of the doors leading to the rest of the ship. Let's cause trouble. Corey's about to walk through the door when suddenly it hisses shut and alarms start to blare. Ordis's voice crackles through as Corey stares at the door in confusion. Zanuka? How would it know she's here? Stalker? There's been no warning signs. The Groostrag 3 wouldn't come after her on a Corpus ship, would they? The alarms have triggered a bursa. The ship has entered lockdown. Alarms? Corey repeats, dumbly, vision wavering as she briefly leaves Nidus to return her consciousness back to the ship. She opens her own eyes, still seeing a faint double image overlay from where part of her is back on the ship. Ordis, what alarms? I just got here. I haven't even left the room. Scanning the ship for other Tenno frequencies, Ordis says. Ah, it appears that operators Punk and Empress are already on this ship. Does the operator want a line through to them? Yes, Corey says, settling back into her seat as she returns herself to the ship. There's a distinct click, and then Corey grimaces at the sound of gunfire, heavy breathing, and explosions. What the void?
It's not me this time, Percy, Punk says. Also, hi.
Go away, Corey snarls. I just got here, and I've been locked into a room with no access panels because your idiot self triggered so many alarms that a bursa got deployed.
It's not me, Punk protests. It's the Empress.
Corey gasps. What are you, suicidal? She's in your squad. She can hear you throwing slander about her. No, the Empress says, sounding slightly out of breath and furious. Corey takes a step backwards, and she feels Nidus's body closing up tighter around her. He's right. If Nidus had a mouth, it would be open. As it is, Corey feels her own jaw drop. Alpha's Cephalon has hacked my Moa, the Empress snarls. Again. And now it's running the machine towards chemical barrels on purpose to make sure it gets hit. Empress releases another vicious snarl, and Corey can hear the sound of spores exploding and shrieking of metal on metal. Without a doubt, the Empress is cutting through the bursas and corpus machines as though they are not but the flimsies of cloth or paper. Why? Because, the Empress replies, seething, Alpha's Cephalon likes to actively hinder Alpha and my work in order to make us grow. A new and unfamiliar voice, cool like Suda, but deep like Samaris, or a little like Ortis when he lets more of his Karis side come to the surface, and calm, speaks, In order to grow, one must overcome adversity. This is a test. Your instructions are... I know what the instructions are, the Empress snaps. Corey looks up and wonders how long it would take for her to crawl straight up through the vents to get out of here. She's never heard the Empress like this, and frankly, she doesn't want to hear any more of it. Get out of that Moa, the Empress says, and where is my Cephalon? This is fun, another voice says. Operator, is this not entertaining? Would the operator like the new strategies I am making to be transmitted to your internal viewing system? This is a test, Cephalon Anscar. Interference in the test will only hinder your operator's growth. It would be cheating and skew the results. Angsar, get Cephalon Zue out of the Moa and dispatch a real sentinel to me now, the Empress commands. Where is my Death Cube? Oh, Death Cube is currently undergoing maintenance. For what? Error. Unrecognized query. I do not have access to that information. Then who does? Corey jumps up and digs her Nidus's claws into the metal of the vent. She hears it creak in protest as she starts to drag herself back up. Her Jinn slowly drifts towards her, making an inquisitive squelching sound. We're leaving, Corey tells it, as it slowly wiggles up underneath her Syndana and latches onto her back. I am not staying around for this nuclear fallout. Take me with you, Punk says. Can't. Door's locked, Corey says. Good luck. She had thought that there was no force in the galaxy capable of opposing the Empress, except maybe the Alpha, but that's because the Empress permits it. No wonder the two never talk about their Cephalons. Those Cephalons are probably the only things capable of posing a challenge to the 210. I appreciate you so much, Corey says to Ortis. He sends her a strange warbling reverb that sounds like laughter. Void, I've never been happier knowing you're mine. Not big surprise. Yes. Couple of new voices there took me off guard. I probably could have put more thought behind them, but oh well. Well, hey, now we have canon names. Well, canon. Now we have names for Alphas and Empresses Cephalons. That's pretty cool. So that means Cephalon Superbia must be punks or sheiks, probably. I thought Cephalon Superbia was Empresses, but I guess not. Ba-da-da-da. Alright, moving on to chapter 150. Judge turns in time to see a blur of white and black go past him as Corey goes lunging at Punk. We need him, Judge says, before realizes what Corey is doing, which, surprisingly and confusingly enough, isn't trying to kill the Blue Tenno. Corey's Nidus is latched onto Punk's Atlas and clawing its way up onto Atlas's shoulders, hunching and perching like a demented Kavat or some sort of strange corpus creature. Hold up. Sorry. Lost my spot. Corey's Nidus. Here we go. Sorry. Corey's Nidus is latched... Oh, I already read this. Oh, well, too late. Corey's night. I'm starting over the chapter. Chapter 150. Judge turns in time to see a blur of white and black go past him as Corey goes lunging at Punk.
We need him,
Judge says, before realizing what Corey's doing, which, surprisingly and confusingly enough, isn't trying to kill the Bluteno. Corey's nidus is latched onto Punk's Atlas and clawing its way up onto Atlas's shoulders, hunching and perching like a demented cavat or some sort of strange corpus creature.
Oh my goodness,
Punk says, voice trembling and getting a little squeaky.
It's happening. Percy's acknowledging me as her best friend. Guys, get this on camera. I need to keep this forever.
One of Nidus's sharp golden claws rakes straight across Atlas's face as Corey lets out a spine-tingling hiss through Nidus's voice filters. You are the tallest Warframe we have right now, Corey snarls. Nidus's gold-pronged toes carefully working for purchase on Atlas's shoulders. And I need all the distance I can between me and that nullifier. What nullifier? Sheik asks, and from the way she's moving around Punk and Corey, Judge can tell that she's taking the video feed Punk requested. Punk's holding his hands together like he's praying. Judge has no idea what to. He's not even sure if Punk knows how to pray. Judge's research on prayer isn't very thorough, and most of his exposure to religion is in regards to either the corpus and their money, Inaros, and the few bits and pieces of things he's picked up from Cephalon archives. That one, Corey snarls, pointing downwards, and Judge turns his scanner on and sees that there is an incredibly oblivious nullifier on the balcony below them.
It can't reach us from here, Judge points out. Get off of Punk.
No, kill it, Corey replies. Judge can see all of the eyes on Nidus's body honed in on the place the nullifier would be underneath them. He's impressed that she caught that. Corey only really uses her scanner when Samaris is annoying her or she's doing some sniper work. Admittedly, Judge hadn't exactly been giving Corey opportunity to do any sniper work lately, or, well, ever. Really, Judge doesn't get to see her do sniper work very often. He just knows it relaxes her and that she really likes to do it because her statistics show that her top weapons are all sniper rifles. And while Corey operates solely through pragmatism and efficiency, Corey's kept every single sniper rifle she's kept her hands on. She's ruthless with the frequent depletion of every other type of weapon in her arsenal. Are you not at max mutation? She asks. No, Corey snaps, because some idiot keeps going in and scattering all the enemies, leaving me with an energy deficit whenever I attempt to build mutation. From the way Nidus digs his claws into Atlas's head, it can be inferred that Punk is that idiot.
Its shield isn't even up, Judge says. Corey, get down. Punk can't carry you like that. Come into my arms, best friend, Punk says, holding his Atlas's arms out in front. I would sooner throw myself off this platform and face certain mission failure, Corey replies. Listen to me, I am not operating at full mutation capacity. I am also at less than 5% health because a certain idiot, who I don't need to name, but will, Jude, got tangled up by 3 Bursa and a Sap Scrambus in the same 10-second period. It's a miracle that I'm not at 0 mutation right now. It is a miracle. Now everyone shut up before they notice us, and someone shoot the head off of that nullifier! Hey! Judge turns and waves at Sheik. I like your...
Punk makes a sound over comms that could be someone dying, someone in the process of dying, or someone who just found out that they're about to be in the process of dying. Judge turns in time to see Punk's chroma suddenly go limp, falling onto Corey's nidus. Don't, Judge says, just as it looks like Corey's about to step away and let Punk's chroma fall to the ground. Nidus's several eyes roll in various directions, but Corey permits the chroma to be awkwardly slumped on her. Hold him up, Judge says. No, Corey replies. I like your Heldren, Sheik. Thanks, Boo, Sheik replies, flourishing and pretending to blow a kiss at Corey. I feel really pretty like this. I feel cool. So this is what it's like for you when you're being a tank. I feel like I could run Lephantis through with my bare fist. It's amazing.
I also like your Hildren chic,
Judge says, going over to Punk's limp chroma and taking it off of Corey. Corey immediately takes 4 steps away from them and towards Cheek.
How's the frame handle for you?
Sheik laughs. You want to know how I handle? Judge coughs. He's not sure why, but the way she says it makes him feel very embarrassed. I'm not sure. I'm still working it out. She's the opposite of you and Persephone. All shield, no energy, Sheik says. All the energy goes straight into the shields, so you have to detract from the shields in order to use her abilities. It's really interesting.
Interesting,
Corey mutters. Judge rolls his eyes. Punk groans, a signature wave of energy flowing over his chroma as he re-enters transference.
Judge,
Chroma's hand lightly smacks against Inaros' face.
Is that you, handsome? I had the craziest dream. Sheik showed up and she was...
Punk lets out another squeak, arms curling around Judge's neck as he turns to Sheik.
Dreams do come true,
Punk whispers to himself.
Babe, you're a unit!
Sheik starts laughing. Corey walks around Sheik's back, putting the larger Warframe between her and Punk. Is this a flirting thing? Corey asks. It is absolutely a flirting thing, Sheik says, and a power move. Punk whimpers. I'm going to drop you, Judge says.
Drop me right onto her, Punk sighs. Babe, I'm so in love with you.
What a line. I mean, Hildren does look pretty cool. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's pretty, like, I think Hildren is probably, you have Warframes that look ripped. Like, you got Rhino, he looks pretty beefy, and I guess Atlas to some degree. But I think Hildren is the most, like, muscular looking. Like, Rhino looks strong, but he doesn't have, like, a six-pack detailed on top of his abs, you know? I don't know. That's probably why. Anytime you do Conclave is one of your friends wanted to challenge you to test their frames. Yeah. I'm very sad because I can't, if you are in a different Conclave level, you can't queue up with people who are in a different level. Even if it's, I think you have to be in a private session to do it or something, which makes me very sad. It's hard to find it's hard to find matches. Well, I guess it's hard to find matches in Conclave, period. But, oh well. Poor Conclave. Conclave is dead. Just like Redacted. The Palatine has some abs? Oh, does it? I don't have that skin. Oh, yeah, it does. Oh, Frost. Frost has abs, too. I forgot about that. Yeah, so, okay, so you got 3 frames with abs. You got Rhino Palatine. You got Frost Deluxe. And then you got Hildren, who requires no special skin. She just has them on default. So there you go. Anyway. Moving on. We're going on to chapter 151. Judge watches, mortified, as Judge the Moa tilts its head, flexes its metal toes, and then starts walking into toxic waste, chirping to itself the entire time. You can feel Corey grinding her teeth, but she doesn't turn around, even as the Moa's alarms start going off. Well, its system alarms are going off, but the Moa sits down in the acid.
What is it doing?
Judge asks. It's being you, Corey replies tersely. Judge thinks that's a little unfair. It's being more Punk than Hades right now. Judge has never purposefully walked into toxic waste and sat in it while he could visibly and audibly hear his own shield and damage bar ticking down. I have watched you dive headfirst into coolant and radiated water more times than I care to recount, Corey says. I've seen you go headlong into crowds of Eximus bombards. I've had to look you in the face as you walk through Corpus lasers and Orican traps. And thus, the power of names is proven. I thought it looked like you. So I said it reminded me of you. And somehow, it took that to heart and now it wanders off to kill itself and see if I will help it. Judge isn't sure where Corey is right now exactly, but he can hear the screams of Grenier and the horrified begging of their capture target through her audio feed. Judge just watches her Moa as it lets out a surprised screech as its systems begin to shut down and it tips over, legs flailing as the damage from the toxic waste finally brings its shield and damage bar to nothing. Judge sighs and goes over, standing on the perfectly decent platform of scrap metal next to it. Why didn't it just move? And starts to assist it. The Moa springs back onto its feet seconds later, looking around, gyro twitching before looking at the green waste and poking the liquid with its toe. Don't, Judge says. It's futile, he knows, but he attempted it. The Moa walks right back into the waste and sits down again. Judge leans down and picks the Moa up, holding it high above its head as its little legs paddle... Judge leans down and picks the Moa up, holding it high above his head as its legs paddle in the air, head rotating around and chirping confusedly at its new height. He starts to make his way, hopping from one garbage pile to the other until he's safely across.
I saved him,
Judge says. How is he going to learn if you save him? Corey asks.
Well, I learned somehow, didn't I? Judge points out. And you always saved me.
At least you understood you were in trouble, Corey mutters darkly. Just leave him.
Persephone, he's a baby.
He got shut down on Earth, Hades. There's a sound of vicious ripping, as if someone was being torn apart. Someone might be. Corey's currently testing out a new build of her Incuros. Do you know who gets downed on Earth, Hades? Baby Tenno with muscular dystrophy. Wait, is that how you pronounce it? Dystrophy. Do you know who gets downed on Earth, Hades? Baby Tenno with muscular dystrophy, extreme dysphoria, and the most basic of gear when they have amnesia. That's who. And I bet you they don't get downed on E Prime.
Well,
Judge can't really find an argument around that one. Corey clicks her tongue. I can't wait for the other one to finish building.
You've already built another one?
Judge asks, a little hurt. Judge, this one can't handle Earth, Corey replies. At this point, it's an aesthetic decoration that sometimes pecks at computer screens and somehow manages to turn alarms off. I appreciate that, I really do. And sometimes I think it's cute, but I don't run my ship for cute. Which is very true.
What if the other one is just as curious as this one is?
Judge asks, tucking the Moa underneath his arm as he follows the trail of dead bodies to wherever Corey is. Then this one will be curious with grenades.
Did anyone notice that we've gone from an all-male frame squad to an all-female frame squad?
Punk asks. Equinox has no gender, Sheik says, hefting her new gun over Hildren's massive shoulder.
We've gone from a 3/4 male frame squad to a 4 out of 4 female frame squad?
Punk amends, Garuda's spines flattening against her forearm as Punk walks over to go through a Grenier locker.
Nostra, Ember. Percy.
Thanks, Corey says. The pale flames of the... This is a mess. I'm starting over this thing.
Did anyone notice that we've gone from an all-male frame squad to an all-female frame squad?
Punk asks. Equinox has no gender, Sheik says, hefting her new gun over Hildren's massive shoulder.
We've gone from a 3/4 male frame squad to a 4 out of 4 female frame squad.
Punk amends, Garuda's spines flattening against her forearm as Punk walks over to go through a Grenier locker.
Nos Ember, Percy.
Thanks, Corey says, the pale flames of her new Ember Prime's crest flickering in the afternoon light as she pries open a Grenier storage container, taking some pistol ammo and reloading her Vipers. I bought Hades a matching one, but he's busy. I would have used her sooner, but my Cephalon wouldn't let me get her out of the foundry until Hades finished his also.
You bought your bullet matching frames? Punk coos. That's so cute.
Corey doesn't respond. She just shoots the Grenier behind him in the head.
Nice shot,
Judge says. I think it's cute that Hades is trying hard not to look dumb as the Saren, Sheik remarks. It's a new frame, Hades. We all look dumb in new frames.
Has anyone told that to Empress?
Judge asks, feeling his face burn with embarrassment.
I don't think she's ever looked dumb, ever. Besides, wouldn't you be self-conscious running a Saren with...
Judge gestures towards Kore. An original Saren on the squad? Sheik replies. Probably, but that's not something I'll ever have to deal with because I already finished up with Saren and have her in storage. She is a powerful frame, but not one for me.
Guys, I found Nightan star. Blue,
Punk says from further down.
Pass,
Judge says, grimacing. He's gotten too many stars again. Maru is going to laugh when he shows up and has to carry them by the crate off of his ship for her. He honestly doesn't mean to collect them like that. There's just... he loses track of them all. I'll be here. I'll be there. I'll be there, Sheik says, clapping Judge on the shoulder as she passes. Persephone? I'm good, Kore says, holstering her vipers as she goes to loot the Grineer's body. I'll just steal some off of Hades.
You've been taking my stars?
There are so many Ayatan stars on your ship that I could be taking them by the dozens and you wouldn't notice a difference, Kore remarks. I'm surprised Ugly hasn't choked to death on one yet. Judge does not correct her, because Kore doesn't need to know that Ugly regularly attempts to eat Ayatan stars and then hacks them up while screaming at Judge the entire time. It would only make her feel vindicated. Lunaro is still a thing, just not many people are playing that mode. I know people sometimes regularly schedule Lunaro matches. I know it's out there. I think there's a Conclave Discord, I think that does it. And there's also, I think Better Name Pending will have Lunaro challenges every once in a while. Anyway. Chaotic King Jevil, hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. How do it be doing? Don't Neja and Revenant Deluxe have abs? Hydro Deluxe has massive pecs but no abs. Deluxe. Neja Deluxe, does it have abs? Probably. What does Revenant Deluxe look like? Revenant Deluxe, oh, that's the Mephisto one. Oh, I guess those do too. Hey! Chris Nikumata, thank you so much for gifting a sub to Z-Man Vader over on Twitch. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I think they both do have. So I guess the moral of the story here is that all of the frames with abs and six packs and whatnot are all deluxe skins except for Hildren. It's kind of funny. Anyway. I think, fun fact, I'm pretty sure it was confirmed that Equinox is a female frame. Pretty sure. Just correcting that little typo there. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, but whatever. Mwahahaha. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Interesting? Yeah. You're learning. So now, moral of the story, if you want pecs on your frame, if you want chiseled abs and six packs, you gotta cough up the plat or you gotta get a Hildren. So yeah, that's Neja Deluxe, Revenant Deluxe, Frost Deluxe, and Rhino Paladin, which, is that a deluxe? I'm pretty sure it's a deluxe. Rhino Deluxe. So there you go. Bunch of deluxes. You know, Hydro Deluxe has massive pecs but no abs. I've never noticed his pecs. I should look at them and see if they're massive. I own Hydra Deluxe and I never use Hydrate, so I never look at the skin. So I don't even know what it looks like. I just wanted that really cool coat signed on the thing. It looks great. Anyway, moving on. Next chapter. Chapter 152. Judge jumps, sending his Titania's razorflies scattering off when he hears Kore shriek through her... I'm messing up so many times today. It's not even funny. Focus. I got this. Chapter... Oh, Palatine is kind of deluxe. It's from before the deluxe bundles. Ooh, I didn't know that. I did not know that. An honorary deluxe. The deluxe... I was going to say prime. That's not the right word. The ancestor of the deluxes. The original deluxe. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Anyway, moving on. Chapter 152. Judge jumps, sending his Titania's razor flies scattering off when he hears Corey shriek. Through her voice modifiers and speakers, the sound gets distorted a little and it makes his ears ring.
What?
Judge whirls around to where he last saw her and sees Punks hanging off the edge of the ship rails. Hanging by, holding onto the ribbons that come off of Corey's Neja's head.
Void.
Just let go, Corey grinds out.
Ah, da! Punk protests. Pull me up.
With my head? Corey snaps. Trust me, Punk. You're going to die either way. Do you want it to be by my hand, with absolute death as a certainty?
Percy, we're 1,000,000 miles over the surface of Jupiter, Punk says. Pull me up.
Hades, Corey snarls.
I'm coming, Judge replies,
zooming over and returning to Titania's normal size.
What happened?
When Punk grabbed her, Corey was yanked backwards and is bent almost in half over the railing. It is indescribably painful looking. Cut him off, Corey says, Neja's arms shaking as she tries to hold herself steady. Neja's toes are barely on the platform, and the Warframe is wobbling precariously. It's a lucky thing that Neja's chakram is currently stuck inside a corpus's torso. That would explain why Corey hasn't called it back to her, because it would force her to break her grip on the rail and fall. Cut him off because I can't pull the idiot up with just my head.
You've got the hardest head I know, Punk says. Of course you can. What are you digging? Why are you digging your grave so deep?
Hades moans, before reaching over, but Titania's arms are too short. With Neja's head bent over backwards on the railing, and the length of the ribbon from the Warframe's head, Punk is well beyond Titania's reach.
If I shrink down, I'll be able to reach you, but I don't think I'll be strong enough to pull you up.
Try, Corey says.
You're strong enough to cut people in half, Punk points out.
All right, Judge says, shrinking down again and flying down to get a hold of Punk's Sayandana. He starts to pull and slowly starts to lift Punk up. He hears Corey sigh in relief as the weight is released from her head. He hears the sound of her recalling Neja's chakram and returning it to its place on Neja's back. Judge gets Punk level to the platform in time before his energy runs out and he's forced back to normal size. Punk makes a choking noise, jerking backwards, but managing to hold onto the railing as Judge is suddenly hanging off of him by the back of his Sayandana.
Void,
Punk swears.
Sorry.
Judge quickly climbs up and lets go of him.
But I guess what goes around comes around. Are we good?
When I have his head, I will be, Corey mutters, but stalks off anyway. Let's get out of here. Corpus.
It's not their fault Punk is... Punk,
Judge says.
I appreciate it,
Punk says, clapping Judge on the shoulder.
Also, thanks. Please don't kill Please don't let Percy kill me. You assume that I have the power to permit Persephone to do anything, Judge says. Grovel and get her something nice and she might give you some leniency. Hades, I can't give her something nice. For her, something nice is a sword. I'm not giving the person who's mad at me a sword. You don't need to. She has dozens of them, Judge points out, but she'd appreciate it. She might even appreciate it so much she decides she can't kill you with it. Sorry, it's just that I get very nervous when someone else is flying,
Judge admits as he loosens his hold from around Punk's neck.
It's fine, Punk says. Just keep it easy back there, okay? And remember, I'm an athlete.
Even from this far above the plains, Judge can hear the sound of Grineer screaming and howling in pain and anger as Empress and Persephone shred through their numbers. He'd look down, but it'd probably make him queasy. Saren's contagion and Nidus's mutations are a horror on the eyes when at work. melting, bubbling flesh and twisting spasming muscles and bones? No, thank you.
I appreciate you carrying me like this,
Judge says. Judge, himself, is actually a very good flyer. It's just that his Arcwing unit sustained some serious damage when he was doing some flybys around Saturn. The debris field there is truly a challenge, and he was also being pursued by several killing machines and AI-controlled bombs.
No worries, Punk says. You see the terraformers? Not yet.
Worrisome, considering they're supposed to be huge and loud and not at all camouflaged.
The Alpha did say it was around here somewhere, right?
And the Alpha is never wrong about things like this. He knows the location of every single rock on Earth at any given time and can feel when something is amiss. Judge trusts Alpha's sense of direction on Earth without question. And frankly, even when he isn't on Earth, he has an unerring accuracy in knowing exactly where things are. Judge attributes this to his profound focus and the extent of his void powers.
Yup, maybe it got taken out already, Punk says. I'm going to fly lower and drop you so I can get some real speed, yeah? Sure, Judge says. Thanks for the lift. Can you drop me not close to Empress and Persephone? What, don't like the sound of horrific screams of agony and fear?
Punk jokes, but obligingly moves further away from the carnage and lowers down enough that Judge can jump off easily.
Alright, I'm going to do a quick circle around and see if I can spot anything. Oh my goodness, look out!
Judge sees the shadow, then hears the machine, and then just barely manages to throw himself out of the way as the terraformer lands right where he was standing with a heavy, ground-shaking thud. Judge scrambles back onto his feet, turning around and gaping because how did they miss that?
Shoot its legs, Punk yells, as Judge fumbles for his shotgun,
all the while trying to put some distance between himself and the giant mallet on legs. There's a ripping snarl through their comms and a burst of brilliant gold as Alpha comes down from the sky, Arcwing unit detaching as he lands on the terraformer's back and starts ripping metal sheets off with his Oberon's bare hands.
Void.
Alpha lets out another low, furious sound, and the hordes of Kubro that gather around him start swarming in from all sides, pouncing and rapidly climbing up the terraformer's legs and digging their teeth into any parts they can find. It's like watching ants disassemble a still-living mouse or other animal.
I don't know if this gets me more or less than the Empress and Percy, Punk says. Alpha, how did you find us?
Loud, Alpha replies. His voice is the same bland, level, monotonous drone it always is, but Judge still shivers reflexively, backing up and looking around for anything else he can look at but this.
There's 2 more.
We'll get on that, buddy.
I am not fond of them.
Alpha tags on, finally managing to punch a hole straight through as he reaches around and starts yanking out wires. The terraformer lets out a terrible mechanical scream of protest before finally collapsing as the Kubros swarm and dismantle it piece by piece.
We know, bud. Here, Hades, hop back on. Let's scramble on out of here. I think we're third wheels at this point.
I kind of like how the fic progresses. You can kind of see which updates happened when. It's really neat. Like, when the Sacrifice update came out, they had a chapter about Umbra, and then here, we got the Thumpers. I actually don't know what the Thumpers are. Are they terraformers? I actually don't know. That sounds right, but I don't know enough about Thumpers to argue against it. I think I might have known at one point and I just forgot. I feel like I've forgotten a lot of Warframe lore. I've forgotten more Warframe lore. I don't know. Never mind. You love the voices. Hey! Thank you. I really appreciate that you like them. I kind of regret not giving you a special one to... What is it? Alpha and Empress's Cephalons? But hey, if they ever come back, I can sit there for 5 minutes trying to figure out how they sound. But I'm glad you like them. Alrighty. We got chapter 153. Corey's struggling in her Saren after being so long in her Nidus. Judge can tell. He met her as a Saren. He knew her as a Saren. And if Judge is being perfectly frank, he fell in love with her as a Saren. And then she grew into something different than Saren, and he loves that too. But Corey's struggling as Saren right now, always expecting a blossom of flesh and teeth at the stomp of her heel and coming up empty. It doesn't help that she's currently working with one of her least favorite type of melee weapons.
Just use a sword,
Judge says, as Corey grunts, hefting the heavy mace up from a ground slam as she slowly turns, Saren's thin waist twisting with the strain of moving as she brings the mace around to slam into a Grineer scorpion. He hears the crunch of bone and the sputtering groan as the scorpion collapses. Well, falls apart actually, without a torso to hold her body upright. No, Corey grinds out, and then she stomps down hard, clicks her tongue when nothing happens, and sends a wave of dangerous toxic energy over the mall, coating it in pollen gold energy that hisses faintly whenever it comes in contact with anything. Her moa beeps, hopping from foot to foot, head swiveling as it fires off a shot at something far away. Judge distantly hears a thud of a body falling, but he doesn't look to see what it was. Corey somehow manages to stick her with her moa long enough to get the thing ready for gilding, and now it seems to be doing much better at not dying. It still does amazingly, profoundly, humiliatingly foolish things like stand in acid pools and run into bombards. But now it's much faster at running after her and taking at least one more hit before falling down into a crumpled mess of leg and circuitry.
You're miserable, Judge points out. You and your Warframes have always relied on speed.
Untrue, Corey says. There's Rhino.
Rhino, Judge says. Rhino who you never use? Rhino who you keep around because you like to look at him?
Slander! I would never do something so impractical.
Right.
Judge does not need to say the real reason she keeps Rhino around, which is that she likes it when the Warframe holds her because she feels safe. Judge doesn't judge her for that, because anyone would feel safe being held by a Rhino Warframe. He's a big Warframe, and you just feel surrounded. It's a good kind of feeling. Even with his claustrophobia, he can appreciate it a little.
You don't even use war, Judge says, because it's too slow for you. You did the bare minimum to attune to it, and then you put it in a storage. I don't think you've even used a catalyst on it.
War was never going to be a weapon of my choice, Corey points out. It's like an aesthetic piece. It's a point that I'm proving to that home invader every time he sees me. I have your sword. You aren't special. Corey grunts as she brings down her mace straight onto a Grineer Lancer, crushing its skull instantly, and also possibly ramming it straight down into his ribs. Judge grimaces.
On your left, Judge says, Hellion about to get away.
What? No! Corey turns, and in a move that would make the Empress proud, denies the Hellion its escape. She turns, mace already halfway drawn up, and slams the mace straight into the aerial-born Grineer's legs. The Hellion screams out as its legs are crushed and its jetpack sputters, dented from being clipped by Corey's attack, and goes crashing down into the guts of the Grineer shipyard. Corey lets out a sigh. See, I'm getting it.
Right,
Judge says, watching her from his perch on the railing above her. She'd insisted that he stay back and just She'd insisted that he stay behind and just watch her back. Saren's elegant arm extends outwards, fingers outstretched. Judge sighs. Corey also sighs, but is much more frustrated than anything else.
You wanted larva, didn't you?
Shut it. Saren's fist closes as she pulls out her Bronco and starts shooting instead. I used to be able to do this.
You didn't have to format your Saren.
I did if I wanted her to be able to keep up, Corey says. My fighting style has changed. I've changed. I need her to come with me on this journey of change. I'm not letting my Saren go. Not ever. I refuse to let her become obsolete, even if my preference has changed towards another Warframe.
Unusually sentimental of you.
Corey waves a hand in the Moa's direction. Given my history, is it so hard for you to believe I don't leave things I'm fond of behind? Empress Empress wakes up, mind unclear and foggy for a moment as she tries to understand what woke her. It isn't her cephalon because her ship's lights are still dimmed. She doesn't feel any pain, and she was not dreaming of anything that she can recall being particularly bothersome. She hasn't fallen off her bed. She isn't cold or overly hot, and she feels quite comfortable as she is. So she stretches her legs out a little, and she doesn't feel Jailer, or see him for that matter, so it isn't him either. She turns to look over her shoulder. Ah, there we are. She turns over completely, reaching out and touching Alpha's cheek. The Tenno is stiff as a board, eyes closed, but she knows he's awake. His mismatched eyes open at her touch, and the light shining out of them is bright enough it stings a little. He lets out one slow breath through his nose, and everything is illuminated by the uncontrolled power seeping through his eyes. Empress isn't sure how his eyelids block it out, honestly. "What is it?" Empress asks quietly. There are so many ghosts between them. She could have another 1,000 years and never be able to know which particular one is hurting him at any given moment. All of them, she assumes sometimes. New ones she hasn't even met yet. He doesn't answer her, just takes in another one of those slow, controlled breaths before closing his eyes again. There's just the faintest light coming through. Empress closes her eyes and imagines that the spots she sees on the back of her eyelids are those lights. They aren't, but it's close.
Was it your mother?
Empress whispers. Alpha's next breath is a little sharper, but he doesn't move underneath her hand.
Your father?
He doesn't pull away, but he puts a warning hand on her chest, long fingertips pushing the faintest bit of power into her. It makes her skin feel heavy, her bones seem like lead for a brief moment. Stop. Empress hums softly under her breath as Alpha works on breathing and not losing control of his powers and knocking her ship into complete and permanent malfunction. Finally, Alpha lets out the faintest sound and she opens her eyes again, and his eyes are just the normal brightness of any other Tenno. Not stars or suns or flares, just Alpha again. His hand, still on her chest, slowly slides over her shoulder until his palm is on the back of her head as he draws her close to him. He presses an apology to the crown of her forehead, right between the golden horns grafted onto her by the Orokin.
"Alone again,"
he whispers.
"Voices of the void and silence."
She breathes in deep, taking him in as she feels his throat moving with his quiet words.
Do I not breathe against your skin? Does my hair not slide through your fingers? She replies. Let it only be my voice and my silence. Shall I weave you a story for the night?
Alpha shakes his head. No.
Then I shall weave myself a story for the night,
Empress decides. Alpha's tired laugh is just a shaking of his chest as she thinks up something that will lull him to sleep.
Well now, I should think that I would like to hear a story about a Kubro tonight.
Oh?
No, hush. You sleep. This one is for me, not you, since you do not want a story. Empress muses. I'm going to tell myself a story about a Kubro. A Kubro that goes on a magnificent journey across Earth and meets several friends, and learns wonderful life lessons, and perhaps defeats a mean Kubrodon from Venus.
How close to the end are you? Let's check. We are on chapter 154 out of 186. So, let me do math with a calculator because I'm too dumb to do it on my own. So, 186 minus 154. So, after this chapter, we will have 32 left. 32. That's enough for one or two more streams, I think, after this. Definitely one more stream. Maybe two. We're getting close to the end. Oh, Sakura Rose. Hello, hello. Welcome on in. Hello, hello. Almost there. Yeah. Yeah. We've come a long way. It's a very, very long series, and I love that about it. I love how there's just so much content here. It's always super disappointing when you read like a lovely story and it's like 10,000 words. Like the longer it is, the more satisfying it is, I think. Last time you did like 40 chapters in a stream? I did? No, I don't think I've ever done 40. Have I? Well, there's definitely one more chapter. I mean, sorry, there's definitely gonna have time for one more stream, I think. I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish it this one. We're already an hour in, and we're still in the 50s. When do I read Bionicle lore? I have a redeem for that on Twitch. You can redeem a Bionicle lore Twitch. Redeem. Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, I have a redeem. So if you are interested in the Bionicle lore, I have a lore dump playlist on Twitch. You just go into the About section and then... No, not the About section. Into the Video section on Twitch. And you look through the collections. And one of the collections is a Bionicle lore playlist. We are... I don't even remember what part we left off on. We left off on... Voya Nui, I think? No, Mari Nui. I think we left off... We left off on Voya Nui. Yeah! I remember where we left off. It was right after the Inika were born. Ignika. Inika. Wait, which is which? Ignika is the mask. Inika is the Toa team. Alright, cool. I don't have to turn in my lore enthusiast card. If you want me to read the entire Bionicle... Oh, that's another thing. Sorry if I broke your eardrums right there. That's another thing. If you want to hear me actually read Bionicle books, please check out Toa Tapio Nuva on YouTube. I completely forgot about that. I'm part of his audiobook project, where he is turning all the Bionicle books into audiobooks. So I have read several chapters for him, starting with book 9, I think, of the Adventures series. I read one chapter for that book, and then I've been reading chapters for the series after that. What's the name of the Legends, I think? I forget the name of the series after that. The one with the Toa and Nika. There you go. I've read several chapters for that. At least like 4 or 5, I think. The project is currently on hold because Toa Tapio Nuva is dealing with IRL stuff. But yeah, when it comes back, I'm still going to be reading chapters for that project. I actually have a chapter that I read and recorded, and I still have to edit it. It's sitting on my hard drive, unedited. Yeah. So yeah, there's 2 answers to that. 1, you could listen to Toa Tapio Nuva's audiobooks. I have a few chapters there. And 2, you can go on Twitch and listen to my lore dump archive redeem thing. And you can always redeem more. Does your Christmas mashup count as a lore story? Was it a catchy summary? I think it was more a summary than deep lore. But hey, you can call it lore. That works too. Yeah. Say what? Say what? What? Say what? I'm also part of, what's it called? Ignition 3? If people are familiar with Bionicle. The Ignition movies were fan-made movies by Noah Productions, I think? I've actually never seen them. I am ashamed of myself that I've never seen them. But Mach Nui Rising is a... a group that is working on the 3rd movie of that, since I think it's Noah Productions stepped down and didn't want to do anymore. And yeah, I'm gonna be in that. Whoa, okay, the sound cut out suddenly. Refresh. There we go. That is, the problem with that project though is there's so much stuff that's confidential. Like, I don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say, but they're working on it. I'm just a voice actor there. I'm not working on any of the animation. So I always feel really bad because they're always coordinating stuff and like looking for recruiters who can like animate and whatnot. And it's like, sorry, I can't do the stop motion. I can only do the voice, and I feel really bad because I want to help them out more. but I don't know how else I can. But yeah, they're cool. They're cool. Yeah, again, I tell you who I am and stuff, but I have no idea what's confidential and what's not. So hey, just wait for them to start releasing stuff. You're a Bionicle noob, so you don't feel bad. You just pretend you're in the cool kids group. Alright. Hey, what do you mean pretend? Macaulay Mastra, what do you mean pretend? You are in the cool kids group. Last I heard, you were president of the cool kids group. What do you mean pretend? Psh. Psh. Anyway, if you guys want links to any of these things, let me know. I can get you links to the audiobooks. I can get you links to the lore dump. I can get you links to the Bionicle song. I don't know what you guys want. Let me know if you want links. And I'm going to continue on with the book. Okay. Okay. Book. Tab back to the book. Here goes. We are on chapter 154. Yeah, I'm definitely not reading 40 chapters today. The obvious want links? Alright. Fine. I'll get you links. I'll get you links right now. Right now, you're getting links. You obviously want links. Okay, I mean, how am I supposed to know if nobody tells me? Okay. Toa, Tapio, Nuva. Do. This bad boy. Playlist. Oh, this guy is so cool. He's basically like a Bionicle historian. Like, holy cow, this guy has basically archived literally every single piece of Bionicle media that exists and put it on his channel. It's beautiful. Like, going through his channel is just such an amazing experience because he has all the comics on there. He's working on getting all of the books on there. He's got... No, and it's not... He doesn't just have the comics on there, but he has voice-acted comics. He's got everything. He's got all of the...
Bionicle Chronicles 1.
Nope, stop. I don't want this playing. He has, like the trailers, I think. He's got everything. It's great. Alright, so here is the link to the playlist. If you want a link to the first chapter I did, I can get you that too. Playlist. Nope, that's the wrong button. I want this button. There we go. That's the playlist. And then I'll get you my first one. The next one, let's see, what was my first one? It was this book. And it was chapter 6, I think?
Bionicle?
Yep, that was chapter 6. I mean, why would you start reading a book halfway through? It makes no sense. Please start from the beginning of the book. But, yeah, this is the chapter that I started. And then, since that chapter, let's see, that was Bionicle Adventures number 9. That was the only chapter in that book I did. I did not do anything in 10. But in the book after that, I have several chapters. But yeah, there you go. Guys, do check him out. He's really cool. If you're interested in a Bionicle audiobook, like, the books are actually not that long to listen to. Like,
Bionicle Adventures.
Nope. They're actually not that long of a listen. Probably maybe 8-hour listen for all of the books up to where we are currently. Like, it's not that long. Well, for an audiobook anyway. If you guys haven't, yeah, I would highly recommend them as a good starting point for Bionicle. The only downside to the books is that it's kind of hard to keep the characters straight if you aren't familiar with them. Like, for me as a kid, I grew up, like, getting the Lego magazine every week and buying every set when it came out and seeing it in the stores. So I knew who these characters were before I came across them in the book. I knew what Vakama looked like. I knew that, he was the... Or what's a better example? I knew who Gally was, right? I knew she was the Toa of Water. I knew she had the mask of water breathing. I knew what she looked like. and I knew the name attached to the face before I read the book. So the book doesn't describe the Toa. It assumes you already know what they look like because they're sets that you can buy and play with. So if you are going in there without knowing who anybody looks like, I would suggest like Googling. If you hear a name, like Google it so you have a picture of a face to associate the name with. But yeah, other than that, I highly recommend the books. The books are spectacular. The first 3 books, I think, were written by C. Hopka. Personally, I like Greg Farshti's writing style better than C. Hopka's, but that's just me. That's just me. So fair warning, if you are having a tough time getting into the first 3 books, just stick it out and it gets better, I promise. You start at episode 6, right? No, because it's in the middle of the action. I mean, if you want to read this book from the beginning, go ahead, but I don't know. Coincidentally, it was kind of a funny story behind this particular chapter. So this is my favorite chapter in that particular book because I just thought it was so hilarious because it's the chapter where Matau builds a nest. I thought that was the funniest thing ever as a kid. That, you know, he's half animal by that point. So, like, he's an air person. So, half air animal. Obviously, he's a bird. He's going to build a nest. And it was hilarious. And I don't know, just the image of this Toa, this mighty hero, this great and powerful and, you know, sort of serious protagonist up in a tree building a nest. I just love that image. And then I joined Toa Tapio Nuva's squad, and the person who was assigned that chapter had to drop out. And he's like, hey, I'm looking for somebody to record this one chapter at last minute's notice. And I'm like, oh, sweet, I'll take that chapter. And it just so happened to be my favorite one in that book. And I'm like, oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. It was your favorite book back in the day. Nicely written. Yeah, cool. This is the one that was based off of the movie, I think. I read the book before I saw the movie. And there was a scene in the book that was never in the movie, and that always confused me, like, as a kid. I mean, obviously it was like, I don't know, a deleted scene or something, where they're going to cross a chasm, and there's a Vizrak webbing bridge, and like the bridge breaks while half of them are across, and they end up like using it like Tarzan and swinging on it and then climbing up the cliff wall. And that wasn't in the movie. Anyway. Very movie physics, though. I'm moving on. We're reading the next chapter. Enough me rambling about Bionicle. Why are you guys distracting me with Bionicle? I see your clever tricks. You don't want me to finish this book now, because you want me to have several more book reading streams. So you're trying to distract me with Bionicle, which, kudos to you, it works. But I've figured out your clever plan, and I'm not gonna fall for it anymore. We are reading the next chapter. The Key to Nongu. An iconic line that shall never be forgotten. Alright. Okay, who is saying this? Alright, here we go. She's on to us. You bet I'm on to you. Alright, chapter 100 and... don't you worry. I'm definitely on to you guys. Can't hide forever. Someday, you'll have to come out. That was me cocking the gun. Aiming it at you guys. Waiting for you guys to, try and distract me with Bionicles. It ain't gonna work. Bam, bam. Anyway, chapter 154. Oh. Everyone watches in complete shock, stunned silence, and disbelief as the Empress, the most feared Saren in the entire system, a legend and a myth all on her own, powerhouse and destroyer, falls for the 5th and final time against the Wolf of Saturn. It doesn't matter that the Empress was working a frame she had just applied a forma to. It doesn't matter that she was using weapons that aren't her normal wheelhouse. None of it matters. Of course, Sheik, Punk, Corey, and Judge had their butts handed to them by the Wolf of Saturn, even if they were at their best. It doesn't matter that all 4 of them got knocked out and now their frames are non-functional until they get back to their ship for repairs and recovery. The idea that the Empress would fall to the Wolf of Saturn is unbelievable, and prior to this day, something Judge never would have considered. Empress's mag is a heap on the ground, her face dull and limbs limp. One of her tonfa rolls a little away from her, and that's when the terror sets in. That there is something that exists in this dimension that can possibly hurt and overpower the Empress. It makes Judge's mind start to scream gibberish. Without their warframes to boost transmission signal, everyone's voices are a little faint and far away. He could break transference and be on his ship to hear through the ship's speakers, but if he leaves now, he's worried that his warframe might get lost, and no one else is left either. But he can hear all of them breaking out into broken curses and hysterical chattering. Well, the Empress says, very softly, voice very far away and sounding stunned. My love, don't make a mess. There's a sudden burst of brilliant, blinding, and blooming light, and then the actual force of the power almost knocks Judge out of somatic link with how overwhelming it is. They forgot Alpha. They always forget Alpha, but somehow they're always surprised by their forgetting of him. Alpha's Oberon glows with unrestrained void energy, and Judge watches in complete awe and fear as Alpha's energy starts to corrupt and warp the metal of the Grineer ship around him. There is still, of course, slight blooms where the Alpha stands, Oberon's ability to generate the faintest traces of life ever present, but everything around him starts to distort. Judge can hear the very audible sound of metal crunching, groaning in distress. Alpha draws his daggers with a gravitas that Judge swears makes his heart stop, and he points at the Wolf of Saturn.
Don't move,
Alpha says. The Wolf of Saturn turns to the final Tenno standing, raising his warhammer and letting out a furious battle cry that is both taunting and menacing. Alpha is a gold and black blur as he moves forward, lean and long, an arrow tipped in daggers as he slides underneath the Wolf of Saturn's slow hammer strike, curling into a crouch and springing up, daggers drawn and hunting blood. The entire time his void energy is a pounding heartbeat that makes the entire Grineer ship groan and scream and hiss as the metal distorts. Rivets pop out of place, entire wall panels begin to curl and corrode. Pipes burst and release hisses of furious steam. Careful, the Empress says, quiet and calm despite the obvious shock. My warframe. The Wolf of Saturn's foot is dangerous close to her mag, and possibly crushing it. Oberon's hoof lands a solid hit on the Wolf of Saturn's side, and despite the size difference, the wolf skids a good 10 feet, trailing sparks and skid marks on the floor as the Alpha puts distance between the wolf and Empress's mag. Alpha stands between them and releases his hallowed ground, sending sprays of golden grass and vibrant green ferns sprawling across the floor, encasing Empress's mag and keeping Corey's limp nidus, as well as brushing against Sheik's fallen equinox. Judge's Inaros and Punk's Atlas are too far out of reach, and still, Judge can feel the outpour of energy. It's this astounding pressure that moves like waves, holding him in place but also pushing against him, crushing him. Judge isn't even physically present, but he can feel it in his head, feel the phantom touch of it on his own skin. It reminds him of that first time ever he met the Alpha in person, but it wasn't like this. It was nothing like this. Judge has no idea if this means that the Alpha was holding back before, or if this means the Alpha is consciously trying to hurt someone. Alpha holds his daggers at the ready, crouched for another melee as the wolf reevaluates the situation. The wolf's lackeys ready another volley of flaming projectiles. That's what got Judge down. And the Alpha lets out a low, rumbling, warning snarl of his own. The lackeys falter. Reasonable enough, they must be very, very loyal in their Wolf of Saturn, or trust him a lot, because Judge would have run. The wolf does not falter. The wolf does not hesitate. He probably should have. And the two collide again, sparks along their weapons as the wolf bears down on Alpha's Oberon. Alpha meets the wolf's snarling face head-on with Oberon's regal face before saying calmly and firmly,
Surrender now, and I promise not to hunt you into your shallow grave.
He doesn't know how the Wolf of Saturn doesn't turn and run because Judge isn't even the target of any of this, and his entire everything wants nothing more than to escape to a different anything, to just not be here to witness this. The wolf's response is another wordless snap in an attempt to grab Alpha's Oberon by the head with one oversized fist. Alpha dodges, jumping up and landing on the wolf's outstretched fist, daggers held on either side as his delicate hooves find balance as the two continue their standoff eye to eye. Alpha nods once before, jumping up and flipping over the wolf's head to deliver a flurry of blows to his back.
I will bury you.
Uh-oh. Oh, my little sound thingy died. There we go. Oh man, though. That's such a great moment. When the quiet kid gets angry. Like, dude. Alpha's always like the calm guy, sniping from the shadows, in the background, being support. And then the moment Empress gets downed, look at that. He went Super Saiyan. Quiet Boy was underestimated. Oh, I love that chapter. I also love that one Lunaro chapter. I didn't comment on it. I probably should have. The first chapter we read today, where Empress and Corey face off against Punk and Whiskey. I love that chapter. It's great. Anyway, moving on. Chapter 155.
What is she doing?
Judge startles. Oh, whoops. Nope, that's Corey.
What is she doing?
Judge startles when Corey's breath brushes against his ears. His fingers jolt, going through the projection that Skyla was playing at his palms, momentarily distorting the display. Corey's chin rests on his shoulder, and her hair tickles his cheek.
Don't startle me like that.
He shakes some pink static from his fingers.
I'm watching a feed Sheik sent me from her Axie run with Empress, Alpha, and Punk. They just hit the 2-hour mark, I think.
I can see that, Corey replies dryly. There is, after all, a timer that Skyla has provided at the bottom corner of the display.
But what is she doing?
Carrying the team as usual,
Judge jokes. The Empress has Punk's atlas over her Saren's shoulder while she's fighting off Infested one-handed, while with one of her sleek black and white colored croaker.
Where's Alpha?
Corey asks. He feels her shuffling around behind him, the faint warmth and strangely sweet smell of her making Judge's entire body relax as she comes around to sit next to him, knees pulled up to her chest, leaning towards him to see the screen. Judge places his fingers at the edges of the display and pushes them outwards, expanding the display and pushing it out so that they can both see it. He stretches his own legs out, wiggling his toes, letting out a small huff of laughter when he feels Midas snuggle against his feet and then proceed to lie down, putting one of his paws over Judge's legs. Poppy comes up and immediately starts hitting her head against Corey's legs until Corey gets her legs straightened out and makes room for Poppy to climb over and demand scratches and pets. Oh, would that Judge were a Kavat.
I'm not sure,
Judge says, pulling up another screen on his side to check the accompanying logs.
His energy is down, and I see that the others are feeling his renewal. Did he have a stretch mod on his frame?
I don't know. I've never seen his loadout, Corey replies. What happened to Punk?
The usual,
Judge says.
Empress is just carrying him until they get to a good place to revive him.
Corey hums, idly playing with Poppy's paws as the Kavat's eyes slit shut, purring like mad.
How much longer do they manage?
Another hour,
Judge says, flicking down and skimming the log.
And then Sheik and Punk start to go down consistently despite the Empress and Alpha's best efforts. Alpha ferries them to extraction and they leave, but Empress and Alpha stay behind.
Impressive, Corey admits. Do you think we could last that long?
No,
Judge says. Corey laughs.
Absolutely not. I don't want to try either, Corey. I don't want to try it. Please don't make me try it.
It might not be so bad, Corey says. We've lasted at least an hour in Axes. Oh, did she get anything good?
I don't know. Sheik didn't send me the reward tables,
Judge answers.
You know, it's her top secret merchandise.
Maybe it's a secret for you, but she likes me, Corey teases. I won her a lot of money the other day when I beat Punk into the ground.
And how did he handle that betrayal?
Like a baby, Corey answers, preening. Sheik's eyes have a slightly manic glow to them as she grabs Judge's arm. We're going shopping.
What?
Alpha, as a Tenno, is standing behind Sheik and looking up at the sky. There are no clouds, so Judge isn't sure what has Alpha's interest, but he seems mostly unaffected by what's happening. Alpha's hit another growth spurt, according to Empress, Sheik says. Alpha's hit another growth spurt, according to Empress, Sheik says. Another? He's not done growing. He's so tall. He's taller than most Warframes at this point, and he's still growing? It makes Judge's head spin. Normally, Empress handles this herself, but she's been extremely busy doing Empress things, and she doesn't want him to choke on his suit. And she doesn't want him to choke in his suit. So she asked me to help her get some new clothes for him. You and me are going to take our good tall boy here for a makeover.
Me? Why me?
Because I asked Persephone, and she said you needed some new clothes too, so it's 2 birds, 1 stone. Alpha makes a faintly displeased sound with that. We're not actually going to hit a bird, she clarifies. It's an expression. Alpha makes another faintly displeased sound. I know you know that, but you seem really upset anyway. I'll try not to use expressions that reference hurting animals from now on. You good? Alpha's shoulders lift slightly, and Judge can see the fabric straining a little. A lot of his wrist is showing, actually. Yeah, Alpha's clothes are getting a little small.
My clothes are fine,
Judge says. Corey sent me pictures, she says. There are holes in almost all of your clothes, and your transference suit is getting a little thin at the knees. Skidding a lot, are you?
K-drives are hard,
Judge mutters. Sheik pats his shoulder. I have Punk. You don't need to explain this to me. Anyway, we're getting the 2 of you remeasured at the quills, and I'll shoot those measurements over to Persephone. Apparently she knows a guy? Or something? Surprising, because I didn't think Persephone talked to anyone who wasn't us.
Or her tailor, Judge says. Yeah, that surprised me too.
The girl has a personal tailor. She's been holding back on me. Anyway, I'll send your measurements over to Corey, and she'll handle the new transference suits and some boots, the custom stuff. The quills will let us borrow some Ostron clothing, and we'll get some regular things from Cetus. It'll be so fun! Judge has a feeling that he isn't going to be enjoying this as much as Sheik is. Sheik waves Alpha over and gestures for him to bend down until she can clap her hands to his cheeks, squishing his face. Alpha's blank expression remains unchanging. We're going to get you looking so sharp, Sheik tells the Tenno. You're going to look so good that the Empress is going to eat you up right away. Alpha blinks once and is enveloped in gold as he's swallowed by his Oberon. He puts his hand on Sheik's waist and picks her up, tilting his head. Judge has the distinct impression that Alpha thinks Sheik is trying to play with him. Sheik laughs. You're so cute. There's a shimmer of pink and Sheik is in her equinox. All right, boys, Sheik says as Alpha puts her down. Let's go get some makeovers. Hey, again, I'm glad you liked the voices, Chris. It brings me joy that people like them. I think probably my favorite person to voice is probably Sheik. It's fun going all super high-pitched. I guess I don't give her a kawaii spin. I just do high-pitched. Should I give her a kawaii spin? Probably not. It's just fine the way she is. But yeah. Glad you like them. It always makes me happy that people aren't finding them cringe. Alright, how much time we got? Oh, we got tons of time. Chapter 156. Sheik turns around and stares at the Inaros behind her as Judge rapidly shovels something into Inaros's mouth. What are you doing? She kisses. She knows one of Inaros's abilities is to literally feed off of the life force, or in the case of that Moa, power core. But this is the first time she's seen it in action. She's fairly certain it shouldn't look like a child jamming as many contraband foods into their mouth as fast as possible before they get caught. If Inaros had flesh cheeks, they would be bulging like a Norg sack.
Shut up, shut up, shut up.
Judge whispers back, panicky.
Don't draw attention to it. Just turn around. This is embarrassing. Just turn around, please, before someone notices.
Too late, I've noticed, Sheik says, casting glance back. Persephone is currently plowing through Corpus with her Valkyr like there's no tomorrow, while Punk shoots down nullifier bubbles.
Don't let Persephone see me, Judge says. Cover me. She can't see me like this.
Why does your Inaros eat things like that? Sheik says.
He's a hungry frame?
Hades.
I don't know. I think my Warframe is broken, because this is literally the only way he'll use Devour. Every other footage of Inaros' frames other Tenno have using Devour doesn't look like this. They look normal. They look dignified. Mine just, I don't know, goes all in?
I can see that. If Warframes could make sounds, she could imagine Judge's Inaros going nom 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 with a few grargs thrown in, like a little starving monster. Hades, you look so stupid right now.
I know. Don't let her see me.
Persephone's seen you do plenty of stupid things, Sheik says. Frankly, I'm a little disgusted right now. You eat like Punk, but only when Punk's running late and he has to shovel food in his mouth or he'll pass out. Void, Hades.
I know, Hades moans. I can't help it.
Boyo, Sheik sighs. That looks so bad. I can't look away, it looks so bad. You and Persephone have been a two-person team since forever, and she still hasn't seen you do this? What kind of stealth are you pulling here, Hades? Dang. Judge lets out a sound like he's dying of mortification. Sheik would be too if her Warframe did something like that where other people could see. She swears every other Inaros she's seen use Devour doesn't look like that.
You two are falling behind, Punk calls from up ahead. What's up? Need help? Percy, I think we're going too fast. Let's double back. Oh no.
Turn it off.
I used Scarab Armor. I need the regeneration. Distract Punk. I'm almost done. I just need to grab 2 more of these guys. Sheik, stop looking at me. I haven't spent significant time with you in almost a full month,
Empress says, pinning him down. Alpha stares at her. They spent plenty of time together. They haven't left a mile and radius of each other in almost 3 days. She's been his cover while he was disabling the new Tusk Thumpers all over the plains. She's been helping him track coordinates and organize his stealth strikes against them at night. Blech. She's been helping him track coordinates and Let me start over. I haven't spent significant time with you in almost a full month, Empress says, pinning him down. Alpha stares at her. They spend plenty of time together. They haven't left a mile radius of each other in almost 3 days. She's been his cover while he was disabling the new Tusk Thumpers all over the plains. She's been helping him track coordinates and organize his stealth strikes against them at night. Significant time with you that wasn't organized around combat, Empress clarifies, eyes narrowing at him. And I don't care if it's in Warframes or not, so feel free to stay inside of your Oberon. But I miss you. Oh. Alpha feels very guilty now. Empress's expression softens and she lets go of his Oberon's wrists, sitting up on Oberon's belly. Can the Thumpers wait for a morning? She asks. We can still go on a mission. Can the Thumpers wait for a morning? She asks. We can still go on a mission. Maybe sabotage some Grineer toxin mixers? Or maybe destroy a Grineer encampment? If you need to do something, but something more relaxed would be nice. Oberon's tapered fingers rest on Empress's thighs as Alpha slowly sits up, nuzzling Oberon's face against her cheek. Yes, he says. Of course, yes. He didn't mean to make her feel lonely. He can feel the metallic points of the horns implanted onto her temples dig into Oberon's neck as she nuzzles back. Thank you.
Sorry.
Alpha gently pushes her off of his Warframe so he has room to come out of transference.
I didn't realize. I didn't mean to.
He takes her hands in his, willing her to know and understand. He wasn't thinking. He was just angry with the Grineer for bringing their machines and their fire and their vitriol. He just didn't want them hurting any more people or animals. He could feel them moving over the plains, spreading out like ants, like infested crawlers. He felt it on his skin like they were moving over him, and he wanted them gone, but he didn't realize how focused he was on it. He didn't mean to be gone himself. There will always be Grineer. There will always be people who hurt others, and that is not his life. Her hands are so fine in his. I know, the Empress says, smiling a little. I know that this is very important to you, and that means it's important to me too. I love the you who puts everything behind doing something. I love watching you do things you feel are important, and I love helping you with the things you feel are important. But sometimes, when you're doing the things you feel are important, it feels like I am less there to help you, and more of an instrument being used for your desired goal. And I know words are hard for you, but sometimes when you focus so much on one something, you stop seeing things. Like the rest of the world becomes removed from you, and it can make one feel like a ghost.
Yes.
Alpha nods, shame and guilt sinking over his shoulders.
I'll be more careful. I'm sorry.
She leans forward and kisses his cheek.
You don't do it to hurt. You would never do something like that on purpose. It's just a side effect of intense focus. We're all guilty of it sometimes, she says. So let's just try to work on being more present sometimes, all right?
Yes.
And then,
Silver Grove?
Empress smiles.
All right.
She slowly stands up, and as she's standing, she disappears in a near-invisible ripple of energy as her Saren envelops her. Empress steps away from him, hand held out, and Alpha takes it, his own energy closing in over him as he returns to his Warframe as he stands. Their fingers link as they ping their ships for pickup to head for the Grove. "2K Underboy. Hello. Arms. Hello. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're enjoying the chapter. Yeah. So, just to recap on the story a bit so far, we're reading Seas Who Could Sing So Deep and Strong. This is an episodic story, so each chapter is self-contained and isolated. So as long as you know who the characters are, and as long as you're following the character development, like, you don't need to worry about missing the plot. Because the plot is character development, and the characters here are just absolutely beautiful. So yeah, feel free to, hop in, listen to a chapter or two, and then leave at the end of a chapter because it's episodic. But welcome. Hope you are enjoying everything. Alright. Yeah. Moving on to the next chapter. Oh, and then again, I said this at the beginning of the stream, but I haven't said it since, so I figured I'd reiterate. The link to this story is in the description. You will need an archive of our own account in order to read it, though. It is locked by account. But yeah, it's a Warframe story, Warframe fanfic. Please enjoy. Chapter 157. They find Alpha first, in the shadow of the exploiter orb. He's lying down on some charred stone, flat on his back, as several different types of pobbers hop and play around him. There's one curled up on his chest, and another tucked into the crook of his Oberon's neck, both of them dozing, ears twitching every so often, but making no move to get up and leave. "That's cute," Sheik says. "I bet he doesn't even need a trank gun." "I want to do that too," Corey mumbles. Judge can pick up the slight notes of jealousy through their private comm.
Do you think it's something to do with his focus? It has to be.
It could just be his personality. Just a little quirk about him.
Judge points out, before switching to trying to open a channel with the Alpha. It opens after a moment, and Judge adds in Sheik, Corey, and Punk's Persephone.
Is the Empress here?
Alpha doesn't say anything, but he raises one hand and makes a lazy gesture to the entire area. The area full of scorch marks, shattered rock, machine parts, and still fizzling acid slowly eating away at shrapnel embedded into the ground and mountainous cliffs. Well, obviously she's been here, Sheik says, but is she still here? Oberon's finger points at the still sparking and smoking crater that the exploder orb's round shell crashed down. Got it, Sheik says, making her way over.
Can I play with poppers?
Punk asks.
Too loud,
Alpha says.
Go with Sheik.
Punk shrugs.
Well, I tried.
His chroma jogs up to catch up with Sheik before he pulls out his K-drive and starts to lazily spin and do tricks on the new terrain created by the Empress's battle. Corey clicks her tongue and her charger obediently comes over to her, leaving the small pool of collecting acid and molten metal she was observing behind. Corey rests her Nidus's hand onto the back of her charger's neck, and the two of them walk off towards the exploder. Judge lingers back as he looks up at the exploder orb, taking in the huge breadth and size of it, now that he can without worrying. Judge lingers back as he looks up at the exploder orb, taking in the true breadth and size of it, now that he can without worrying about it noticing him and attempting to squash him like a bug.
By herself?
Judge asks, not really needing Alpha to answer. Alpha doesn't answer, and his hand slowly lowers to gently pet the pauper snuggled up on his chest. Judge also wants to pet a pauper, but he goes on because while he doesn't think he's loud enough to scare them like Punk is, not with Alpha there at least, he probably has enough nervous energy about him that it would make them uncomfortable. Judge eventually catches up to the other three Tenno as they're climbing the exploder. Well, Punk's attempting to use his K-drive to use one of the legs as a ramp, but the angle is too high. Sheik's climbing it using her commas, and Corey's watching all of this happen while carrying her charger like she's a baby.
Arcwing,
Judge suggests.
Arcwing,
Judge suggests. And get blown out of the sky by some idiot in a dropship? Sheik says. Don't feel like it. Judge highly doubts that there's going to be a Corvus dropship coming around here anytime soon.
Are you going up?
Judge asks Corey instead.
I already know what I'm gonna find,
Corey replies.
I'm going to see if Alpha can keep the poppers calm enough for my charger to play with them. Are you going up?
I am a little curious,
Judge admits as she walks past him towards where they saw Alpha. He signals his ship to send down an Arcwing deployer, and within seconds, he's hovering over the entire battlefield, taking in every skid, every still dully glowing ember, and the entire disaster zone of it all. Judge has only seen the Empress's handiwork on the Eidolons at night, so seeing it under the light of the sun is a whole new experience. If he was actually on Venus and breathing, he'd say that he was lightheaded from being so high up. But since he's actually on his ship, he's just lightheaded from the grandness of it all. The Empress's gleaming white transference suit is a bright spot on the exploder orb's darkened, charred, and electricity-scorched shell, and her dark hair blows out behind her like a macabre flag. She waves at him. Judge slowly glides down as Sheik finishes her climb, and Punk screams overhead as he overshoots his goal and crashes into another leg. Empress is sitting cross-legged on the orb exploder, her warframe standing off to one side and her dual swords impaled straight into the metal of the exploder. She smiles at them.
Hello.
Nice work, Sheik says, but I'm not here to beat around the bush. Hildren parts. Empress raises a serene eyebrow. I'll pay. You know I'm good for it. Empress shrugs a shoulder, pulling her hair over to one side and slowly combing her fingers through it.
I have plenty. Of course I'll trade you for them.
Empress says.
Well, this was a challenge. I feel quite invigorated after that much excitement. I feel that I am done for now, though I should honestly look through this scrap and salvage parts. I can help,
Judge says. She nods at him.
I would be most grateful. Sheik, I'll have my ship send you the schematics. If you would so kindly remove your partner before he causes further damage to himself, we can discuss the terms of this exchange.
I'm okay, Punk says, dragging himself over the edge of the orb, giving them all a thumbs up.
I'll land it on the K-drive. I think it might be broken, but I'll ask the vent kids to help me fix it. They've got some really good ideas on how to soup this thing up even more.
Empress ignores him, slowly standing up and stretching her arms up above her.
Alpha is with his poppers, I suppose. Yep. Persephone went to join him.
Wait, this is Jude or Judge? Well, it says Jude, so.
Yup, Persephone went to join him, Jude says. Can I take some of the circuitry?
Better you than I, Empress replies, waving at him before returning to transference and retrieving her swords. Shall we, Cheek? Sheik offers her Equinox's arm to the Empress as the two of them walk towards the edge of the exploiter and drop off the side. Judge heads over to watch them land in graceful tucks and rolls. Then he screams, because Punk shoves him off the side too.
Race you to Fortuna,
Punk yells. So in retrospect, that probably was Judge who asked for the circuitry and not Jude. I blame autocorrect. Alright, real fast. 1 second. How much time is left in the stream? 2 hours. I need to message a person on a thing real fast. I got a Warframe.market ping while I was reading that. Somebody has bid upon my lich, and I need to let them know that... Oh my goodness, what is this name? I need to let them know that I can be on in an hour to trade them. Uh, 2 hours isn't only 1 hour left? No? Wait, yes? I stream for 3 hours. Every time I stream, it's always 3 hours. So we're 2 hours into the stream, so there's only 1 hour left. That's how it works. What was it? The 52 Tonkor. Alright, cool. I messaged the person. I don't want to lose the trade, that's all. The person's online. It is such a pain to schedule, like, lich trades. Because with normal trades, there's like 5 trillion of them out there. So if you aren't able to log in at the same time as the other person, that's fine. They'll just buy it from someone else. But liches are one of a kind. So you have to make sure that you and the person are online at the same time. So I wanted to grab the person while I knew they were online. That's all. 2 hours isn't... Oh. You thought I said there were 2 hours left. No. I said there were 2... Maybe I did. Maybe I misspoke. There are 2 hours... We are 2 hours into the stream with 1 hour left. That is how it do be doing. But thanks for looking out for me, Mikali Mastra. Appreciate it. Alright, here we go. Tabbing back to the book. Books. Man, I just got a sudden wave of the munchies. I want to eat something. Your brain is malfunctioning a lot tonight. Hey! We can be brain malfunctioning buddies. My brain malfunctions most days that I stream. You're not alone. It's probably you. Alright. Well, hey, if you want to take the blame, sure. I will gladly shovel all of the blame onto your shoulders. If you're asking for it, sure. But no, I think I probably misspoke too. Anyway, the both of us contributing to... We got... What's the meme? We have like 3 brain cells shared between us, passing them back and forth. The one brain working overtime. Yeah. I got you. Definitely overtime. It needs a break. I need to have like a month where I don't do anything. I just sleep for a month. And that's it. Nothing else. Like that's ever gonna happen. Anyway, chapter 158. Yeah, I got what you meant. I got you meant. Passing around the brain cells, working overtime, only one of them available. All that good stuff. Just layer on all the memes. I get you. All right. Chapter 158.
Have you ever just given up on someone?
Judge asks, half jokingly, and also mostly hoping he can figure out a way for the Empress to give him a break. It's just the two of them today, and they've been working interception missions for almost a third of an Earth day cycle now. Interception is, by far, one of his weakest points, especially in just a two-man squad. The Empress doesn't seem to have any trouble picking up his slack for him, but she's been pushing and testing him this entire time to see where and when he starts to fall behind in order to give him advice. It's nice, but Judge is beginning to get frustrated. No, the Empress says.
Not even Punk?
No, the Empress confirms, flicking through mission alerts and syndicate files to find another interception mission for them to run.
Why? Just wondering when you're going to get bored,
Judge suggests.
I mean, I just can't do interceptions.
Untrue. You do fine at interceptions, the Empress says. You've lasted this long with me without a mission failure, haven't you?
Okay, yes, but I mean...
She turns to look at him, the black of her Saren's undulating tendrils reminding him of her hair.
I do not think that the question you are asking me is worded correctly for the answer you want to hear, Hades, she says. Do you mean to ask me if I have ever asked too much of a person? The answer is yes, but rarely. I do not push where there is no give, and I do not take what is not there. Are you sure about that?
Empress's hands fall away from the mission display screen.
The Alpha doesn't have a fondness for capture-type missions, but he's very good at it, so he'll do them. He's also awful at hijack missions. He finds them boring and a waste of time, so will only do them if I need him and ask him for it. I personally cannot stand any type of rescue mission, whether it be rescuing hostages or assisting defectors out of Grineer territory. I lack the patience to slow myself down to match the typical hostage or defector's pace, and I easily find myself frustrated by their inability to keep up with the Tenno. But I will do them when required. These things are not things either he or I do willingly, but the ability to do them exists within us. We have done them. We can do them. We can do them. That doesn't answer the question, though. I can ask the Alpha to do capture missions with me. I can ask him to do hijack missions with me. He can ask me to assist him on rescue and defection missions. But there are things we do not ask each other because we know it's not possible. The Alpha cannot handle deep water. The Empress pauses and then slowly raises a leg and gestures about midway up her shin. Here he is fine. But once it starts rising up to the knee, he begins to get anxious. Not visibly, and not too consuming, but just enough of a worry to flicker in the back of his mind. By the time the water hits his knees, the anxiety becomes a worry. But with it a task at hand and people around him, he can focus. By the time the water hits his waist, the anxiety has become so consuming that it's stress, and it takes everything he has to focus and try to get through it. And if the water rises above his waist, that's it. He's gone. Alpha goes somewhere in his head that isn't there, and nothing can stop that. He goes away. So I never ask him to do anything with water. If there is a mission that requires anything underwater, I don't take him. If we are surprised with the necessity of having to navigate underwater, I have him break transference, and I carry his Warframe until it's over. The Empress stops, then firmly says, Do you understand, Hades? There is a difference between something you do not know how to do, something you aren't good at, something you don't like doing, and something you cannot do. Persephone can do Arcwing missions. Judge opens his mouth to protest that Corey really can't, but the Empress raises a hand to silence him. She can do them. She'll go very slowly.
She'll struggle, and she will most likely rely on you or Sheik or Punk or Alpha or myself to get her through it, and she'll feel very ill afterwards. But if there is a need that cannot be answered in any way, then she will do it. Persephone cannot handle her skin touching another's. Judge's mouth clicks closed. Do you understand the difference now? The Empress asks. Judge nods quietly. Judge and Corey have gone on Arkwing missions, and Corey hates it. She hates them like nothing else, but she's done them. She'll do them in the future. Corey will be throwing up and groaning, pressing her head to the orbiter's floors of her ship for hours afterwards, but she'll do it. If Corey can't handle the feeling of another person's skin on hers, she'll just go somewhere else, or burst into flame. Both sometimes. Corey goes away when someone touches her skin and she didn't say it was okay. Corey folds into herself like a collapsing building, and it takes her a long, long time to build those foundations back out again and to stop being shaky. Judge knows this firsthand. He knows this several times over. Sometimes even Corey doesn't know this about herself. Like she'll forget whatever it is inside of her that makes her recoil so harshly, and she'll touch his arm, or she'll offer him her hand, and then suddenly she'll be burning and several feet, as many feet as she can manage really, away with her eyes focused on something that isn't there.
Yes. So, do you not want to do this with me, or are you unable to do this with me? I don't want to, Judge admits quietly, but I can, and I know I have to.
He really is the worst of them at this whole interception thing.
All right, the Empress nods. Do you want to take a break? Is that an option?
Yes, Hades, that is an option, the Empress replies, sounding amused.
I do realize that not everyone is able to keep up with me for prolonged periods of time. You can just say it. When Punk asks, Punk will ask for a break after 5 rounds of defense, the Empress interrupts. Do you honestly think I would take that seriously?
Right.
Can we take a break?
Yes, Hades, we can take a break. I love that chapter too. Like, nothing happens in it. Nothing exciting happens. It's just literally a conversation between the Empress and Judge. But I really like that chapter. I don't know why. It's such a good chapter. All of these chapters are good chapters. You can't pick a favorite. I can't pick a favorite. I just really like this book, okay? I just really like this book. But this is a good chapter. Anyway, moving on. Chapter 159. Corey's second Moa looks mean. Corey's second Moa looks like Corey.
What happened to the first one?
Judge asks, as he watches the new Moa duck out of the way of flying body parts that Nidus's larva spit out from its many, many grinding teeth.
Gilded and finished, Corey replies. Somewhere on my ship, giving Umbra grief, I imagine. Getting tricked into doing things by Isha and Hajira. Maybe fallen onto its side and unable to get up on its own.
That's harsh, because Judge knows that Moa was able to hold its own for a bit. It certainly wasn't dying on Earth anymore. Sure, maybe Ceres or even Europa, but it wasn't dying on E Prime or Mariana.
And you're just not going to bring it around anymore?
Judge asks, disappointed. Corey glances at Judge, Corey glances at Judge over her Nidus's bladed shoulder and extends Nidus's arm to point at the Moa, expertly dodging and weaving between flying body parts, explosives, and ragdolled Grineer.
I need to get that one gilded, she says. Then I have plans. Legs has one more Moa type I need to build in order to get the complete set. And on top of that, I want to work on retraining Valencia and Empress.
They need retraining?
Judge double takes, momentarily dumbfounded. The idea that any of Corey's flesh companions need retraining of any kind is confusing. They're all so capable. If anything, judges are the ones that need some kind of training. Any kind at all, really.
Can you take Poppy and Cadmus with you on that training course?
Take care of your own, Corey replies, looking away from him and firing a few shots at some Take care of your own, Corey replies, looking away from him and firing a few shots at some napalms. Corey's new Moa's head swivels around before it lets out a mild, low-ranged beep and launches some kind of projectile. It's bright blue and latches onto the ground a bit away from Corey and lets out a small series of stringy electricity that suddenly suck in 2 scorpions and a lancer, pinning them to the ground. Judge vaguely remembers Corey mentioning her new Moa having grenades when he first saw it, but he was preoccupied at the time and not really paying attention, so he didn't see it. Not really, not up close, until now. And he has to admit, it's somewhat better than the previous Moa's standard tactic of staring at empty space like it was daydreaming. If Moa have personality modules, do they daydream? The new grenade-launching Moas lets out a series of harsh beeps and starts running after Corey's Nidus in long strides. The impacts of its thicker feet louder than the Judge Moas were. There's a definite weight to it The new grenade-launching Moa lets out a series of harsh beeps and starts running after Corey's Nidus in long strides. The impacts of its thicker feet louder than the Judge Moas were. There's a definite weight to his Moa, with its menacing-looking alacron core taking up a large bulky part of its bag and its munit gyro piercing out through the front.
Did you like that first Moa at all?
It got very good at hacking, Corey says, and providing distractions for enemies when I was busy. Judge sighs.
Thank you for sticking with that, Moa.
Thank you for building me a Moa, Corey replies. Can we focus? The new Moa's head swivels around to look at him before turning back to Nidus and marching onwards after its master. Judge sighs. Well, at least they haven't had to revive from being down during this mission. Things are already going faster. He's going to build her a Moa she likes for sure next time. Judge fidgets, feels embarrassed about fidgeting, and fidgets some more because he's embarrassed, gets even more embarrassed, and also a bit frustrated about his complete inability to be normal and stay still for 1 minute, and ends up squirming some more, and that makes him stop. Judge goes completely still. The Empress's eyes are still closed, legs and hands folded in meditation, hovering about 2 feet above the ground. Nothing about her moving at all, except her long, fine strands of black hair whenever the wind comes, which is not often. Even the weather is better at staying still than Judge's. Clouds scroll lazily across the sky, barely moving at all, it looks like. It feels like time itself is standing still, and Judge is just a wiggly worm or something.
You don't have to stay,
the Empress says, not unkindly.
I'm sure you have other things to do that aren't sit here with me.
No, Judge says, I want to. The Empress's expression doesn't change, and she doesn't open her eyes, but she lets out a faint hum that sounds very fond, but also incredibly disbelieving.
I mean, I want to stay here. With you? I'm not good at meditating.
You don't have to meditate, the Empress says. There are more ways to be with someone than simply doing whatever the other person is doing.
Or do you always go along with Persephone when she takes up a perch on the cliffs of Europa or Venus to shoot Corpus at her leisure?
No, Judge absolutely could not do that. Mostly when Corey's in the mood to go hunker down in one place and mock Corpus by shooting their heads off from a great distance, he is doing other things in the general area. Scanning stuff, taking one of his Kubro out for a run, stealing things from unminded Corpus loading docks.
Oh, it wouldn't bother you?
When Punk stays with me while I meditate, he fishes if there is water nearby, the Empress says, or he talks at length about Pug.
Which one?
All of them.
And it doesn't bother you or distract you from your meditating?
If it did, I would have told him to stop. Do you think I would permit someone to do something I am not fond of when I can tell them to stop? Judge feels very silly now.
Is it okay if I just talk?
Judge asks.
I mean, you don't have to respond or anything. I just like to talk sometimes about stuff.
Norg takeovers.
It's a legitimate threat. Their faces are so angry. That can't be a coincidence.
The Empress's lips briefly turn upwards before her expression returns to serene emptiness. Judge takes this as permission to continue, so he does. It's nice to talk to someone about the Norg takeover and the actions he's taking to prevent and prepare for it, without that someone scoffing or talking back at him. By the time Judge is done, the Empress's eyes have drifted open and she's lowered herself to the ground, though she's still in the same position.
Your thoroughness is impressive,
The Empress says when he comes to a break in his explanation.
I can hear Alpha and Persephone coming. They must be done with their business in the grove. Shall we continue this another time? I find myself most curious as to stage 2 of your plan.
Hey, another Judge and Empress bonding chapter. I love this one so much. She actually listens to him. She listens to the Norg conspiracy takeover rant and is actually interested. I mean, obviously she doesn't believe him, but she's fascinated by it, and it's great. I love it. She just chillaxes with people. It's great. I love this chapter. There are too many chapters I love. I love all the chapters. Anyway, moving on to chapter 160. 20 chapters left, I think, until the end of the book. Isn't that something to think about?
I don't think I could be alone again,
Corey admits quietly. She doesn't know why she says these things to the Alpha. Maybe it's because he so rarely says anything back, or because he's just himself? Something about the Alpha makes you speak uncomfortable but absolute truths. Maybe it's because he's so quiet, so still. It's like looking at a pool of clean water. You see all the way down, and you see yourself in the depths on top of everything else. Alpha remains quiet and still. Light from the opening at the top of the grove creating a spotlight on him, and the faint fluttering motes of energy that flicker upwards from his warframe.
Does that make me weaker?
She asks, voice sounding uncomfortably small and young and vulnerable. All the things she hasn't been in a very, very long time. Especially not all at once. Alpha still doesn't answer, but she knows she has his attention.
I used to go entire planetary rotations at a time without talking to anyone,
Corey says.
Did you have a mouth?
Alpha asks. No.
There were other Warframes, Corey says instead. I mean, I could have teamed up with them. I didn't. I still mostly don't. And even when I was awake, I never saw anyone out. Not until Hades. And even then, I didn't talk to him at first. But now, if it all happened again, I don't know if I could do it. If everyone went back to sleep and I was still awake, I don't know if I could be by myself. You are worrying about a problem that exists only in the farthest reaches of already dead stars,
Alpha says.
But you survived then. You are alive now. There is a difference. No one wants to die.
Corey mulls the words over in her head.
I wouldn't be alive if I was alone again. If I was alone again, it would be like death, she says. Is that what you're saying? You are alive now,
the Alpha says.
After a long time of just existing, why would you want to go return to undeath? I feel like I was stronger then. Or maybe, I don't know. I feel like I could handle things better, Corey says. I didn't want to go back to that. I'm scared that if I need to, I couldn't. Shouldn't I be able to if I did it once before? Is someone leaving? I don't know. No one knows. The sentients are back. Gunir want Judge's head for killing one of their queens. Ballast is...
Corey's mouth feels like it's filled with shrapnel.
With the Lotus. We've got this wolf of Saturn hunting around the system on top of everyone else we have to look out for. The Corpus are developing new weapons from Orcan and sentient technology. I don't know what is going to happen. I feel like I wasn't as afraid before. If someone had told me all of this when I first woke up, I would have taken it in stride. But now Now it makes me feel anxious. It hurts me. Because it matters, Alpha says. It hurts because it matters. Do not fight the beat of your heart.
Do you always look for trouble, or does trouble find you?
Punk asks, jogging behind Judge at a very leisurely pace. Too leisurely. Punk should be going faster.
I didn't do it. Are you sure? Salad V seems sure, Punk says. He sent his new Zanuka hunter after you and everything. I really didn't, for sure this time, Judge exclaims. Run faster! That's just the Zanuka hunter, Punk says. We don't have to run for it. Punk.
Judge shouldn't have to explain this to the other Tenno.
You're in a newly formed Vobin. I'm in a Saren Warframe. I barely know how to use. If the Zanuka catches us, it's catching us. And I don't want to have to fight my way out of another holding facility. I'm sure that's between the two of us, we can handle it, Punk says. Awfully confident of you, Judge replies, considering you were down from running into laser fields twice already. No, that's different. I didn't run through a laser barrier. I was pushed through by explosions from coolant tanks and fuel containers, Punk insists. It's different. That wasn't direct combat. It's just a tangential side effect.
If Punk accidentally punching coolant tanks and fuel containers when he was aiming for Corpus isn't direct combat, Judge isn't sure what is. Judge isn't going to waste his breath on this any longer. He can hear the scraping of metal as the Zanuka rips itself along the ship walls, rending metal underneath its claws as it catches up to them.
I think it's after me because of Persephone. A lot of people think of us as a unit, even when we're not actually physically in the same area. That's cute. That's unfair and a misdistribution of blame, Judge says. Of all the times for that stupid robot to come after me, I can't believe this. Believe it, bucko, Punk says. Come on, we can take it. We've done it before. In Warframes we actually know how to use. Seriously? You spent years working with Percy and you don't know how to use a Saren? It's not like I was taking notes, Punk. Percy must have been, because she does just fine in Inaros. It's different. How? I don't know. It just is. Shut up and let me think. Your thinking isn't going to change the fact that there's a Zanuka on our trail, on our tails, and we're running like Corpus cowards. I don't know how to make you understand that we are outgunned in this fight. Good thing I brought a sword, yeah?
Judge groans as Punk laughs, the Zanuka's angry screeching growing louder as it closes in.
I don't want to waste a day breaking out of holding. It doesn't take that long. It does, and it's embarrassing. You're being pessimistic, Hades. I always thought that was more Perseus' thing, Punk says. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can win. If it were Persephone here instead of you, I'd be a lot more optimistic, honestly.
Salad V, his true name. Yep, I promise. That's what it said. It said salad, not Alad, so good old salad. Salad in 5. I don't know. I probably should have said salad 5. That would have been funnier. I love all the random Warframe memes that people have about, like, the various characters, like Salad V, and, I don't know, Hex Air, and stuff. Anyway. Gunkward. Hello there, Gunkward. Welcome to the stream. You caught us in between chapters. Hope you're having a lovely time. Yeah. We are reading The Seas You Could Sing So Deep and Strong is a Warframe story. The link to the story can be found down in the description. Yeah. Wait, are you a Pokemon? Is Gunkward a Pokemon? I don't know enough about Pokemon to know whether or not a Gunkward is a Pokemon. I just know that Punkemon say their own names. Oh wait, it's probably not, because your icon is a picture of Squidward. Never mind. I was overthinking things. Anyway, pleasure to meet you. We're going to move on to the next chapter. Chapter 161.
Hey guys, check this out.
Punk comes crashing over them, climbing over the back of the long rows of seats in Sheik's quarters that's built into the side of her Luescape display, long legs pushing in between Sheik and Alpha, display screen open and hovering in front of his face.
I got this game from one of the vent kids on Venus. It's called D&D. D&D?
Judge repeats dubiously.
Like TNT, the explosive? Nah, it's a game called D&D, Punk says. Check it. I'm gonna send you guys copies of the files. It's like super old. An ancient tactics training game from old Earth. I guess they used it to teach their kids survival tactics and mechanisms for combat and stuff. We should try it. It looks super fun. I watched a few games.
What's the goal? The Empress asks, flipping open her own display as she scans through the lines of texts.
How do you win? You don't?
Everyone looks away from their displays to stare at Punk. How do you know when it's over then? Corey asks. He can already see her doing the mental math to figure out when she can cut herself loose and leave.
Never?
It's an infinite game? Sheik sounds as incredulous as they all feel. The people of old Earth must have had way too much time on their hands. Or maybe they were just really serious about getting their kids ready for a future of warfare and constant strife. If that's the case, Judge really overestimated the quality of life of their ancestors. They might have been as bad as the Orkin, maybe even worse. Who knew they had such war-based roots?
Well, no, it's like role-playing, like a story that you act out, Punk explains.
That's not a game, that's a simulation. Where does the game part come in? Sheik asks.
You roll dice for your chance of success, Punk says, and your dice roll goes up against someone else's, or a predetermined number. I mean, they didn't have our kind of technology back then.
All of them nod and murmur in assent. That's true.
What happens if the dice roll fails? Empress asks. Whatever the DM says, I guess, Punk answers. What's a DM? The person who runs the game. Come on, there's 6 of us, 5 players and 1 DM. That's a perfectly big game.
Empress's mouth pulls down at the corners as she contemplates this, scrolling through the data that Punk sent them. It seems like a very complicated game, but it could be fun.
Alpha's the DM, Empress says. What? But I'm the one who knows more about the game. I am fond of you, the Empress says. You have, in turns, made me laugh and made me smile. I appreciate your existence in my life more often than I despair of it. But what makes you think that I would tolerate being told what I can and cannot do by you, when I have killed others with far greater accolades to their name for attempting the same?
All of them are quiet for a moment before Punk claps Alpha on the shoulder.
Well, I hope you understand this game, bud, because if I'm a player, I can't help you, otherwise I might look ahead and cheat. Also, Alpha has very good voices, Empress tags on, and I feel as though that would make this very interesting.
Voices? Sheik says. No offense meant, but usually it takes a few hours to get the one voice out of him. What do you mean, voices?
Do you know what a parrot is, Sheik? Before Sheik can answer, Nora Knight's voice echoes quite clearly through the room. Hello, dreamers. Let's get to know one another.
Everyone except the Empress jumps, staring at Alpha. Still in Nora's voice, he says,
Do you not like it? Should I use another?
And then he switches, without change in expression or demeanor.
The wait is over, Tenno. Barokatir has arrived.
Judge throws his arm out in front of Corey before she can do anything rash, like physically tackling the Alpha. Out of the corner of his eye, he sees her already slightly leaning forward, upper lip curled up in distaste.
Not that one,
Judge says quickly, still a bit shaken by the abrupt change.
You had me anxious, Tenno. Nervous. Pacing even.
Punk, Sheik, and Judge have to lean forward to put themselves between Corey and Alpha.
Not that one either,
they yell. Alpha turns to Empress and in his normal, even, monotone voice says,
I do not think I would be good at this game.
He can do that the entire time? Punk gapes. You can do that the entire time.
Alpha turns to Punk and in Punk's voice says, Yeah, that's not new, bud. I can do this like whenever. Punk turns to the rest of them, tears shining in his eyes. I don't know what my feelings and brain are doing, but it hurts a little. Am I excited? Am I afraid? Both? I don't know. I don't think I'm capable of knowing.
I have so many ways I want to use this, Sheik says, steepling her fingers in front of her face. There's so many business opportunities for this. Alpha, Alpha, Alpha! You've been holding out on me.
The Empress looks very, very proud as she links her arm with Alpha's, still perusing the game's instruction files. So, we each have to create a character, she says, using these numbers and rules. That looks like it might take a while. Perhaps we should think about this and then convene when we all have something we like. Judge flicks through the character creation pages, and it's a hefty chunk of letters. My character is a tiefling named Persephone. She's pink. She has a sword. Next. That was fast. You can't play as yourself, Punk insists. Come on, Percy, imagine stuff. It's make-believe. Corey turns to look at Judge dead in the eye. Fine. My character is a tiefling named Corey. She's pink. She has a sword. Next. Judge stares right back at her, mouth slowly opening because what the heck? Corey smirks. That's... Punk looks visibly torn, and Judge's eyes quickly flip back and forth between them as Corey turns to the blue tenno and cocks an eyebrow, sitting back and adopting her Nidus's mannerisms as she spreads her legs out and rests her arm over the back of her chair, lifting up her hands as if to say, "Come at me." Punk frowns. Better? Corey smirks. Judge continues to stare at her. Does Punk know Corey's real name? Corey kicks him sharply, and he turns to stare dumbly at his information screen.
I think we all need time to read this over, Sheik says. We're not all as decisive as Persephone over there. All of you get off my ship. I have some stylistic choices to make.
It is pretty meta. Yep. I love it when things get meta, though. It's great. The Borrow and Nora voices are so not what you expected. I know, right? Like, from Alpha, the monotone, monosyllabic guy whose expression never changes. This is great. This is great. You want to play D&D with me? Well, I don't have any campaigns open at the moment. There is one campaign I am in that, let's see, after the 15th, we should be able to play it again. My players, we have one more session's worth of content, and nobody can meet up. Every time I try to schedule it, nobody can meet it up. We've done this entire campaign, and we're on the last session, and we just need to run the last session, and then we're done. Nobody can meet up. It's very frustrating. What was that? I heard a ding that sounded suspiciously like the ding from Monster Hunter World, and... oh, my stream ended. Wait a second. My stream cut out. Are you guys still able to see the stream? Is it still available to you guys? Hold on, let me tab over here. You're here? Okay, I just had a really weird glitch, I guess. Okay, cool. I glitched. Your current group isn't too enthusiastic about RP? Yeah, mine neither. Well, I'm the DM, so I don't really do a whole bunch of, well, I guess, yeah. My team, it was their first time playing D&D, and getting them to roleplay sometimes is like pulling teeth. But they're fun. Scheduling is the bane of all groups. So the thing is, the entirety of the campaign, over the course of 2 years, every single Sunday, nobody missed a session. The last session, nobody can make it. We can't get it scheduled. It's ironic. A classic D&D curse. Yeah. You refreshed because you thought internet was janky. It was a network bump. Alright, cool. Glad it's just on my end. It buffered for half a second. Alright, cool. Glad that worked out. Or dice rolls failing just means more fun. Yeah, I prefer actually D&D sessions that focus more on RP as a player anyway. Maybe not so much on as a DM, but as a player, I definitely prefer RP sessions because they're so fun. Yeah. The campaign that I'm in that again suffers from scheduling. We play it maybe like twice a year. Oh man, that thing is like 90% role playing and like 2% battles. It's great. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, maybe once we finally manage to schedule the final session, I'll be open for doing D&D with other people. So hit me up when that happens. All right, moving on. Chapter 162. So I have to actually. Oh wait, no. Before I start, somebody dinged me on Warframe.market. Oh, rip. Dang it. The guy who I was gonna sell the lich to canceled the bid. Rip-a-roni. Rip-a-roni. That's fine. Okay. Anyway, let's keep on going with the book. You DM and play, but your last group fell apart. A pain. My condolences for your group. You've been working on running a cyberpunk campaign. Ooh, that sounds fun. That sounds really fun. Hey, Oculus Nuva, hello. Welcome to the stream. How do it be doing? We got 15 minutes left in the stream. We are on chapter 162. And yeah, we're reading the bedtime stories. Welcome on in. Oh, Peppa Pig! Hello there, Peppa Pig. Welcome on in. Hi. We've got a lot of people showing up all of a sudden. Greetings. Hope you're having a fun time. We're reading more books. You always seem to show up for the book reading streams. Well, I guess that makes sense, because those are 50% of my YouTube streams are book reading streams. But hello. Alright, here goes. Moving on to chapter 162. The stalker is nothing to her. The stalker can come for her as much as he desires, and she will cut him down where he stands without fail, without hesitation, without remorse, and without satisfaction. He was a Oh, that's what that little dinging noise is. It's the stream disconnecting. Okay, now I know. You're just chilling. Glad you can catch the other stream. Hey, well, glad to have you. Glad to have you. Sorry, I'm gonna start over that chapter because, yeah, it cut out and startled me. Chapter 162. The stalker is nothing to her. The stalker can come for her as much as he desires, and she will cut him down where he stands without fail, without hesitation, without remorse, and without satisfaction. He was a soldier who failed to die in service of his masters. This has nothing to do with her. In another life, she might have been one of those masters. In another life, she might have died in front of him. In another life, she could have demanded he die for her. But that is not this life. And in this life, she is a forgotten daughter of a golden house, and she cannot be blamed for not dying out with the rest of the gold and jewels. She survived. And that will not be undercut by a purposeless ghost with nothing better to do and no imagination to conjure a new task other than to latch on to whatever new power fills the void like a worm or leech. If there is a sin I am guilty of, it would not be yours to punish, she says, as she drives her sword into the stalker's gut in one clean movement, pulling out without any fanfare.
You know nothing. You who turned your blade against me, if any, is the one who sins.
For someone who mourns the loss of his master so much, one would think that he would be less discerning in turning his blade against a survivor of that empire. If there is a sin she is guilty of, it would be her pride and nothing else, because it was her pride that has gotten her this far, her unwillingness to bend and relinquish the grace and honor that came with the name she was given when she was born into a house of silk and flesh. And why should she be ashamed of that? It is hers. It will always be hers, and there is no one who can take away her name. Not the void, not the ghosts of it, not Ballas or Margulis or the executors or their scientists. They can call her Empress or Saren or Excalibur or Ember or Necros or Monster or Abomination or Weapon or whatever they please. But they cannot take away the name she was born with by not saying it. She knows it. They know it. They were just too afraid of it. She pushes the stalker backwards as he pushes a hand to his wound, leaning heavily on his sword as he steadies himself. In another life, she could have been like this one, meaningless and lost without anchor. But that is not this life. In this life, she made new meaning, and she drove her sword into the world, and made her own anchor, and defied every power to come and take it from her. Her sin is pride in her own survival, pride in what she was made of and who made her, pride in every breath that she takes when all the others are dead, pride in knowing she outlived all the rest, pride in knowing that for all these things she has lost, she is better than they could have ever dreamed, and she will continue to be better. She is above this. Them. These ghosts. These crumbled hulls and shattered mirrors. Empress readies her sword. In another life, she commands soldiers like the stalker at her whim. In another life, In another life, her hands are flecked with gold flakes and bangles. In this one, the stalker's blood splatters over her arms and flecks against the white of her Saren's body as they collide, and she deflects his great sword with a twist before sliding down and cutting straight across his right shin, his leg to buckle. His body is already turning into smoke, preparing to flee as she drives one of her twin swords straight up and towards his already dissolving throat. "Come for me, ghost," she says quietly, knowing he cannot hear her. "I will return you to your grave as many times as it takes for it to hold." "I wish these things had a long shelf life," Corey says, cupping one of the maggots in her hands and wiggling its little tummy as it patiently sits, little tail wriggling about. It's so squishy and cute. She wonders if she can get the helmets to grow a few of these and let them roam loose for her. Well, if they're from the helmet, they might try to kill her. Ortis would be extremely displeased, but Ortis is usually displeased with most living things on the orbiter that aren't Corey, so it wouldn't be anything new. She gently, but quickly, sets it down and starts to scuttle off before it bursts apart with enough violent force that its flying body parts send a few of its brethren skidding off to the side, as they also scuttle away towards new targets. Corey quickly grabs another one off the ground and starts to play with that one. They're so round, friend-shaped, shaped like friends, and wiggly. They're also chubby, like puppies but littler. It's wonderful, and she wishes they didn't die almost immediately. She really would love to just have some. Corey quickly pops out of transference, taking the maggot into her actual hands. Like this, it's a bit bigger, and it looks a little surprised, and starts wiggling in earnest before calming down when it realizes she's still herself, just differently shaped. She holds it up to her face. "You are wonderful." Then she quickly sets it down and returns to her Warframe as she watches it hurry off and launch itself at an infested charger like a ferocious mite. Corey sighs wistfully. "I want one." She hears Judge gagging behind her. "Shut up. Insects pours out of your Warframe and crawl all over it. You literally have an ability called scarab armor." "It's not made of actual scarabs," Judge protests. "And these aren't literal maggots," Corey replies. "If they were, they'd eventually be able to fly." "That's the last thing this galaxy needs. Flying those things." right, and the next chapter is going to be chapter 163. But I think that's probably where I'm going to end this stream. Is this stream still going? Because it disconnected again. And I think it's still going. It says that it's still going on my end. Looks, YouTube is telling me, howdy. Oh, hello. Wait, hold up. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Guess what? You caught the end of it. I'm just doing the ending goodbyes. Do we see you? Okay, cool. Well, yes. You arrived in time for the end. Yeah. There we go. We're slowly making progress. So, if we're on 32... And I thought there were 80s. Oh, I'm on 63. We're on 63. And there are 80-something. 63 and there are 86. So, 26. We have 26 more chapters. So that's maybe one or two. One or two more, and then we're done. Maybe one, maybe two. I don't know. We'll see. I am indeed Jessie OJ. I did not forget at all. I do have my closing spiel that I gotta cycle through and run through. But yeah. That's like your favorite part. Hey, well, good to know. Good to know. I'm glad you can get some enjoyment out of it. But yeah, so if you guys only watch over on YouTube, I will be streaming again this time next week. I'm not going to be reading a book. The book is going to be 2 weeks from now. If you are watching me over on Twitch, the next stream is going to be on Saturday. Yeah, that's literally the next stream. It is my collab stream with Chris Nikomata. Kudos to the people who've been in chat like since the beginning. Like, holy cow, Chris and Macaulay Mastra and Jessie OJ, like, all have been here since the beginning. And the stream hiccuped again. I don't know why it's hiccuping, but it is. Never miss a Neb stream. Another hiccup. You like it here? Alright. Well, thank you. I'm glad you do. I like you being here. Alright, anyway, I'm gonna call it quits. The stream is cutting out and in and out and in and lagging like crazy. Yes, it's lagging. So I'm gonna call it quits. Thank you so much, everybody, for stopping by. I'll see you Saturday if you're on Twitch. I stream, let's see. Plug socials. Twitch. Discord. In description. If you want to see the original book that this is from, that link to that is in the description. Sees Who Can Sing So Deep and Strong, which is book 5 of I'd Rather Fall Among the Stars. Have a great night, everybody! And remember, if you're ever sad that you can't kill anybody IRL, just remember, you can... Wow. Okay, my arms are fine the entire stream, and now at the very end, they're glitching out. Remember, if you're ever sad that you can't kill anybody IRL, just remember, you can always kill them with kindness. Have a lovely night, everybody. I'll see you around. Sleep well. It's great meeting all the new people who showed up. And to all of the usuals and regulars, you guys are cool. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Alright, bye-bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe. No, you're not obligated to. I'm not running that spiel. Alright, bye-bye.